Today's guest is the true embodiment of a life well lived and joyfully reimagined. A proud Jamaican by birth and a decorated US Army veteran by service, he has worn many hats over the years: soldier, husband, adventurer, creative spirit, and now content creator extraordinaire. Shaped by 25 years of honorable military service, he journeyed from the front lines of global deployment to the quiet joys of backyard bliss, swapping camouflage for creativity and duty for discovery. 5 years ago, while the world was crippled by the uncertainty of the COVID pandemic, he found himself on what would become his final deployment. With unwavering faith, he faced the unknown, uncertain if he would make it back to his beloved family. But through the grace of God, he did. And 2 years later, he retired from service, stepping boldly into a new chapter of healing, joy, and purpose. Since then, he has poured his passion into transforming not just his backyard, but his entire approach to life. With 28 years of marriage under his belt, to the lovely Mama Lynn, and a heart full of stories, he invites us into his world, where DIY projects become therapy, travel becomes testimony, and cooking authentic Jamaican American meals becomes a celebration of legacy and culture. In 2024, he did launch the Tiki Bar Chat, a vibrant YouTube space where meaningful conversations flow as freely as laughter. Receipts. Whether he's sharing creative finds, building something from scratch, reflecting on life, or exploring the great outdoors, Winston's Chronicles is a channel that is a haven of encouragement, community, and good old-fashioned fun. In April 2025, that was this year, he celebrated an incredible milestone, 50,000 subscribers strong and growing. I think it's just like a few hundred short to 60,000. A devoted husband and a proud father to girls, now the oldest being 28 and the youngest, of course, being 22. And a dog dad to his loyal protectors, Ranger and Chloe. He lives every day with gratitude, heart, and intention. Though he humbly calls himself a jack of all trades and a master of none, his growing community will say otherwise. He's a master of perspective, a curator of joy, and a storyteller whose journey reminds us all to give thanks, rise again, and make every moment count. So guys, please help me welcome the resilient, resourceful, and radiant soul behind Winston's Chronicles. Winston, welcome, and thank you so much for making it to the Sunday service. I may not have done it justice, but please introduce yourself to the community in the best way you know how.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I think we've talked about this for a while, so it's an
Yes.
honor to be here. And as what me always say, give thanks to another great rise, right? Because we always give thanks to every day that we wake up and see the sun again. All right. As I always say, we're not promised tomorrow. So, every day you wake up. One of my former military officers used to say, every day you wake up on the green side, it's a good day. All right.
Love
So,
that.
no, I appreciate you having me here, and I appreciate everyone that's here on the live. Everyone that supports my channel. It's been fun. It's been a journey, and I'm actually it's gonna get better. All right, so just kind of introduce myself a little bit. As you mentioned before, I was born in Jamaica, so I'm a yard man. All right,
Yeah,
born,
man.
yeah, man, born and raised. I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica. Went to high school, Jamaica. So the reason why my favorite color is blue because I went to Jamaica College, which is the best high school in Jamaica, right? So for all my JC family out there, all right, you guys know that's my favorite color. All right, and growing up as a child, I grew up in a community where it was, I wouldn't say it was poor, but we the struggles were there, right? The struggles were there,
Mm.
but my parents always provided everything I needed. My mother was a teacher. My father was a firefighter at the time. So I have that service blood in my that flows through my veins, right? I'm all about service. Um, so growing up, like I said, I went to high school and graduated and started working And my first job really was I was I used to mix concrete. That was one of my first jobs. It was more of a summer job. So
Mm.
we lived in a new community. We moved from Kingston to Spanish Town, and we one of my things I used to do, me and one of my friends, we used to go around, and everybody, it's a brand new community. Everybody is doing additions to their houses. So we used to just go around for a contractor and mix concrete, right? Every day. He would just, hey, go to this house. I'm putting up a fence, mix concrete. So I got we had our shovel, my pick, right? And we would walk, we would dig foundations, and we would mix concrete, right? So that was something I really enjoyed. I think that's part of my journey, was learning a different skill every single time, right? So then from there, once I graduated high school, my actual first, what I consider my first real job, I worked in a stock room at a wholesale grocery store. And I remember it was right up the street from where I lived. So every day I would just put my overalls on, I would walk up the street. So they started me out in the stock room. So basically I would just sit there and I would just weigh out flour, sugar, rice, 5 pound, 10 pound, 20 pound bags, stock the shelf. That was my job. And I loved it. I was getting paid, I had a job, right? My father, being as strict as he was always saying, hey, you need to go back to school, you need to go back to college. And I'm like, no, I want to go to work. Most Jamaicans, there are a lot of Jamaicans that go to college directly after high school, but you find a lot of people just want to go to work and be independent. And that was one of the things about me. I wanted to be independent. Not that I wanted to move out the house right away, but I wanted to be independent of my parents, So anyway, I did that job for a couple of months, and one day the owner of the wholesale came up to me and he's like, where did you go to high school? And I told him, and he said, you went to Jamaica College? I said, yeah. So about 2 weeks later, I was managing the wholesale.
Wow.
So actually, I went from the stock room to being a cashier, and then from a cashier, I went from there to actually being the manager of the entire wholesale. So
Wow.
I was managing the money, the resources, everything, and I was 16 years old.
16 years old and you're a manager.
I was 16 years old and I was a manager, and I was like, man, this is surprising, But I had this mentality where I don't halfway do anything. Everything I do to the fullest of my abilities.
Amazing.
And so worked there for a couple of months. A friend of mine, he worked for a construction company. It used to be called West Indies Home Contractors. I think they're still open in Jamaica. So they're one of the major builders in Jamaica. And my friend, he worked there as a timekeeper, and so he got me an interview. I went over there, did the interview, and I got a job as a scale operator, right? So for those of you that don't know, when on construction sites, they have this huge scale that trucks drive up on, and whatever material they're hauling, they'll drive up full, they'll go dump the load, they'll come back empty. So we had to basically weigh them empty and weigh them full, and that's how they got paid, right? And I see what Special Case say.
And then,
um,
and then, okay, there's a comment there coming through based on, I think, on our college, very prestigious high school.
Miss V, it's a very prestigious high school. I mean, to me, it's the best high school in Jamaica. My rivals, my Kingston College rivals would say opposite, and they're purple. So that's the way I tell you, Goga, blue is my favorite color. So, so anyway, getting back to the story. So I got the job as a scale operator. I did that for a couple of months. And I tell you, God is good, because you never know what opportunities are out there for you, right? Again, just doing the best you do at what you do, no matter what it is. So my supervisor, my friend supervisor, who's like the master timekeeper, he asked him, he's like, what high school did he go to? So this is becoming a trend, right? What high school did he go to? And it's like, Oh, he went to Jamaica College, right? So, oh man, that's old school right there. So, he asked me to become a timekeeper. So I left the scale operations and I went to be a timekeeper. So I did that for a couple of years, and for me that wasn't enough. One of my dreams as a child was I always wanted to either be in the military or in law enforcement. And if I could, I always said if I could combine both, that one I would have lived my dream. So growing up, when in primary school, I was a Cub Scout, I was a Boy Scout. High school, I was a cadet. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's been in my blood. So anyway, I decided to leave that job, and join the Jamaica Constabulary Force, which is the police force in Jamaica. So I did my application, got everything set up, everything was done, and I'm waiting. And every day, and I lived probably in the same area where the police academy was. That's my dad right there. So every day I was going there and I was calling them, when are you guys gonna get me? When are you guys gonna get me? No, never happened. They're just like, we'll get you at some point. All right, cool. So anyway, again, by the grace of God, again, you never know what's gonna happen, right? You just have to be. I always say just have to be prepared for when it happens, right? Preparation is the key. Always be ready to do what your plans are in life. So at the time I'm waiting, I had traveled once before. My mom lived in New York at the time, and I had traveled once before. And I'm going deep into some stories here. So my cousin, me and him went to go renew our passports, and I remember going to the embassy, and they denied me. They denied my passport, right? Denied my visa. And by the time I got home, I got a letter in the mail, and it was literally my mom had filed for us for, previous years before. And the same day I got home, I got this letter in this huge yellow envelope in the mail. And my cousin, to this day, me and him talk about it. He said, I was driving, you were walking, and you got up to my house before I got there. Because I was so excited, right? And ran to the house, showed him the letter. In less than, I had 2 weeks, because at the time I was 20 years old. And once you become 21, you're considered an adult, and you have to go through the process all over again. So in 2 weeks, I was gone. I moved to the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 weeks. That's the fastest I have ever known anybody go through the process. So
I can imagine.
yeah, so I landed in New York City on the night of my 21st birthday, night before. New York, I was there for 3 months, and I walked into a recruiting station, and I joined the Army. At the time, my mom was working, and I remember her coming home, because I used to take her to work all the time. And then, she wasn't a New York driver. Mommy, I hope you're watching, but yeah, she wasn't a New York driver. So I taught her how to drive in New York City, right? And she came home one day, and I said, Mom, I joined the Army. And she said, really? I said, yeah. She said, when are you leaving? I said, in like a couple of weeks. She said, okay. And the one thing about my mom, she is the most supportive person in my life. I mean, my dad is too, but my mom is like, if I told her I was going to go out on the corner and sell biscuits tomorrow, she'd be like, okay, at least you have a plan, because she trusts me enough to know that I'm doing something with my life, or I'm doing something right, because I'm not going to go out there and do something crazy. So anyway, joined the Army, went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for my basic training. My job was an artillery surveyor. And then my recruiter, he got me. I honestly can say I enjoy it now, but he got me, because he asked me, he said, well, you want to make an extra $110 a month? And I was like, doing what? And he's like, oh, just jumping out of planes. And I was like, okay. Didn't even think about it, right? Didn't even think about it. I was like, all right, extra $110, sign me up. So I get to finish basic training, um, come back to New York to visit my mom on my way to airborne school, which is in Fort Benning, Georgia. And now my mom is like a beast at driving in New York City. So now she went from like this very shy person to I'm holding on to the rails in the vehicle, like, I created a monster, So I finished airborne school. Then I was stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, which is where I met my wife, Lynn.
Oh.
That was a interesting story because I chased her. I'll tell you this, when because she was in the Army as well, but she was in the National Guard, which is, they're part-time, they're not full-time.
Yeah.
And she came down to Fort Bragg to train. And I remember it was a weekend and I was standing in the line, and it was her and one of her friends that they were in front of me. And we kind of, made eye contact for a little bit. But I said nothing to her the first time, right? So
Ooh.
next, and the dining facility was right next to my barracks. So the afternoon we had dinner, and this time I'm in front of her and she's behind me with her same friend. And we went in, it was me and one of my Jamaican friends that was stationed in the Army together, and to this day we're still friends. He actually lives down the street from me now. So he was there when I met her, and we actually lived together for a short time. But anyway, her and her friend comes up to the table and we're like, can we sit with you guys? I said, sure. I was on my last $20 that weekend, my last $20. And I remember we took her to the movies back when $20 was actually worth something, So we went to the movies and we had a good time. And I was like, I can't believe so from there, we got married. We dated for about a year, and then
wow.
we got married soon after that. And then we moved to Germany for about 3 years. My first daughter was born during that time, before we went to Germany, and then we lived in Germany for 3 years, where my second daughter was born. And then during that time, I deployed overseas. I went to Kosovo in 1999. I went to Iraq in 2003. That was when my twins were born. So I was actually overseas when my twins were born. So my twins are boy and girl. So then we came back to the States. I deployed again in 2007. So by then, she got out the military. Then I got out the military in 2004. And I decided I didn't want to give up all that time, So I had 10 years in the Army at that time. So I joined the Air Force Reserve. And that's where I finished out my military time. I retired as a Chief Master Sergeant, which is the highest enlisted grade that you can achieve. And then from there, my dream was to be in law enforcement. So my current job, I'm a police officer. That's my civilian job. You don't hear me talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
That's my full-time job, is I'm a police officer. So, but aside from that, I mean, this whole YouTube thing was just something that I love to cook. It's kind of one of the things you learn from when you're growing up, you don't really pay attention to, that actually turns out to be the things you love the most, right? My grandparents, I'll tell you this quick story. Every holiday, every summer, my parents used to send me to the country to my grandparents. And being from Kingston, we have light, we got running water, we have TV, we got all the amenities that people love to have, right? When I
Yeah.
went to my grandparents, they had none of that. no running water, no light. They use the old kerosene lamps, like all this stuff, you know. And I used to be like, man, all my friends are downtown hanging out, and I'm in the country with no running water, no, I got to go to the river to catch water, all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I never realized the life lessons I was learning, because that's what got me into like learning to cook, watching my grandmother cook, um, just hard work in general. And I didn't consider it hard work. You know, my grandfather, he worked the land. That was his thing. Every morning before the sun came up, he was out working in the bushes, and I would go out there with him sometimes, you know. And my I had a cousin that I grew up with, like a brother, and he taught me how to swim, how to fish, like all this other stuff. All the stuff I love now. So it's kind of funny that when you're growing up, you never really pay attention to the things that is right in front of your face, and as you get older, you kind of realize, wow, this was a lesson that a life lesson that I was learning. So that's the reason why you see I love to cook, I love the outdoors, I love to build stuff. That's where all that comes in. Yeah.
Wow. That's a very wholesome introduction story. Like I think guys, I think you have literally finished the entire Sunday service. just like giving that introduction. And Winston, you're an amazing storyteller. Like, I like how you just kept on flowing, even just by introducing yourself and giving us all these insights. And you have amazing reactions on the live stream, and I just want to highlight those ones, a few of those, just before we proceed. First of all, your twin needs to be like, somebody needs to rain on your twin, because she's trying to say, shh, shh, listen, don't tell them our secrets. Don't tell them our secrets. She's trying to scream there on the chat, but the cat is already out of the bag. The one of Bragas gave you a super blessing and saying,
Thank you.
sending my
Thank you.
regards, sending my regards from Germany and thanking you for your service, sir. But you look pretty good in civilian clothes too. Yeah. And
I
then
appreciate it.
and then he also said, your mom is not a New York driver. I think for driving in New York, you need to switch off the brain and start constantly praying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there was a question here from him as well. Winston, can you still speak some words of the crowd's language, or did you prefer to forget all the nice swear words we have? Ragos is watching you from Germany, and he's a
From Germany.
German.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
honestly, I learned just enough to get me in trouble or out of trouble. And once I got back to the States, it just kind of, I can still understand some things. But yeah, I never really practiced it once I came back to the States.
Okay. You got your answer, yeah. And one further thing, this one I think is a very subjective statement. You went to Germany, at least you had good food for 3 years in your life. Do you
Oh, I
agree?
loved it. I loved it. I loved
Okay.
it.
Okay. And then of course, special is the guys. Special is the police on that chat. So Special just said,
And New York.
Ragas, can you hand over your phone? That is it. That's enough. That's enough for the evening. For the evening. Curious question. Win. I mean, because you started taking responsibility from a very young age. Like you are a manager at 16. You get enlisted. When you just get into 20. Um, there's certain. It's a very it speaks volumes into like your value system, or even just the personality you have as a person, to be entrusted to like take responsibility from a very young age. If you I mean, I'm sure you've seen, you have twins who are 20-year-olds, and you've seen the world today. It's not it's really it may not really be the same, maybe in terms of like people taking responsibility, especially like as you had to do, and during your time. What would you say, like, this was something that you picked either from the parents, or is in terms of the community you grew up in Jamaica, or is something that was just innate in you?
So I think it's a little bit of all, I would say,
Mm.
because funny enough, I was a very shy child, very shy. You wouldn't believe that now. Most people won't believe that now, but I
I
never,
don't do.
I would never talk to anybody. I wouldn't talk to girls. I was just a shy person. And it's kind of funny. To this day, I tell the story. I just had a revelation one day. One day I just said to myself, I said, why are you shy? Why are you afraid to talk to people? And literally that switch flipped and I just became a different person, right?
Yeah.
I I started to just be social, a lot more social. And that was always in my personality, but I never realized how much it was there. I was just because I was so shy. And I remember I think when I joined the cadets, I started to go out more. Actually, when I moved to Spanish Town, which was a newer community,
Mm.
I met a lot of new friends, and we're all new to the community, so we would just go around, hang out, cook. And even when I was younger, we used to cook, but I wasn't the guy, I wasn't the person that was like ahead of the group. I was short back then too. I was like this tall. I never thought I'd grow any shorter than like 5 feet, So, but at some point, my like I said, it's all my parents were always there. Like I said, my dad was very strict, and
Mm.
I think I told this story on the Tiki Bar one weekend. He was on the live too. My dad, when he used to leave the house, he used to always say, "Don't leave the yard."
Yeah.
And as soon as he drove out the gate, I was over the fence and I was gone. And I was I was going hanging out with my friends, and then I would have to come back late at night, and he would. I'm trying to actually, it would be like right after he pulls in the gate. Now I'm trying to sneak back into the house, and I had to like knock on the window to get my brother and sister to open the door for me. He
Yeah.
caught me a few times. But you know, all those things resonated with me because it wasn't that I was a bad child. It was just I wanted to I was a boy. I wanted, boys, we want to go out and have fun, and we weren't out there doing nothing crazy. We were just kids hanging out, having fun together. And I learned a lot. I mean, I had friends that got into trouble that sometimes I wonder how I'm still alive right now and it's one of those things where, the company you keep, you can't judge
Mm.
people by the company they keep, right? Because not all the times, because you
True.
hang out with, because you never know what people are involved in, right? Your friend is your friend, and that's the limits of what you know about them. And you might know, all right, there might be a little troublemaker here, but not to the extent that they get to that you don't even know about, right? So sometimes you might have a friend that gets involved in some stuff, and next thing you know, you're getting chased by some people, and you don't know what's going on. So it's just the way it is. But that's I tell people all the time. I've learned so much over the years, just growing. Yeah, hard years, just like Caesar
Adios.
said. Yeah, that's what they say when they don't want to listen. They call you hard years, something like that, right? And but no, over time, um, my personality changed, and like even my wife says it now. It's like I could walk into a room
Mm.
with strangers, and 10 minutes later you thought we knew each other for life, and that's how I am. I'm all about people, um, good people. I don't like negative people. And I think that's one of the reasons why I became a police officer, because I got a gift of I can talk to somebody for about a good 5-10 minutes, and I can kind of pick out their personality and figure out if it's a person I want to be around, you know.
Mm.
And I keep my circle very small with people. Well, when I say small, I mean the people that I really trust and keep closest to me. But socially, I mean, I have a lot of acquaintances. Some people would say friends. I'll call them friends, but I feel like the ones that are closest to me are the ones I say are my closest friends. And then my other friends are my coworkers, but that's just my personality. I like to be around people. Not big crowds, but I like people.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Moving from Jamaica, living in the States. having been outside, outside the jurisdiction, maybe for service. You mentioned Kosovo, you mentioned Iraq, you did mention Germany. That was quite a wild experience. And with that kind of experience, you also get to exposed to different cultures. So comparing to, let's say, growing up in Jamaica, because you're born and raised in Jamaica, and having to get out of the comfort of, the streets of Kingston, what would you say are some of the values that have stuck with you all these years? Remembering growing up in Jamaica and now being a son of the world,
Mm.
because now you've really experienced the world in a very different, level. What are some of those values, growing up that are still keep with you up to date, and you also try to ingrain them in your kids as they're growing up?
Well, let me say this first. Jamaica nice. Jamaica nice, and Jamaica is still nice. Jamaica will always be nice. Um, I think one of the things is um, growing up. Jamaicans are hard workers. Jamaicans are hard workers, and it's kind of crazy. Years later that I visited, went to Jamaica back on vacation. It's almost like it didn't change because you see you hear the stories, you see the news, and you hear people, oh, Jamaica is this, Jamaica is that. Jamaica is built on with hardworking people, and if you look at a lot of Jamaicans wherever they are in the world, they are very progressive in how they operate because when they see an opportunity to progress, they will take that opportunity, right? Whether it's in the military, whatever career field they decide that they're gonna go into. Um, I feel like you understand the value of a dollar, right? Because when you don't have it, right? And like I said, I don't consider myself to be poor. I never considered myself to be poor. I wasn't rich, I wasn't middle class, but I was happy, right? Because my parents provided for me, right? And I think that's the biggest value is understanding the value of a dollar and what hard work means. And essentially, it doesn't have to be hard work. Just knowing what your goals are, going after them, and following through with it, and going from that having that ingrained in me already, because I always knew what I wanted. I was one of those kids. I knew exactly what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. Um, so having now the opportunity traveling to another country, the opportunity was there for me to get what I wanted. And I also learned the world was a lot bigger than people think, right?
Mm.
Because it's crazy that even people that live in the States, there are people that have never left the state that they live in, right? So they live in the United States of America, and there are people that have never left their state that they live in.
Yeah.
And for me, it's when you put yourself in a bubble, and again, circumstances dictate, right? Like some people don't want to leave the comforts of what they know. You know, for me, it was once I got out of that, what I knew at Jamaica being, got to the United States, and I saw the opportunity to just see the world. I'm like, I'm taking it, right? Because then you start to read and you start to understand. You're like, oh my God, what somebody said wasn't really true, right?
Mm.
Because you see it for yourself now. And I'm one of those people, like, you can tell me anything. I want some proof. I want to prove it for myself, barring anything dangerous, as long as it's not dangerous. Well, granted, I was in the military. I don't, and I jumped out of planes. I don't know how that happened, but anyway. But
I like how you say, I like you say jumping out of planes randomly, like it's a normal thing people should be doing,
it,
like, taking coffee.
yeah, it felt normal to me because it was just a job at the time, and the average
Yeah.
person. But the one thing I won't do, I won't free fall. So this was the military jumping is different from civilian jumping. So I will not free fall. But yeah, like I said, that instilled in me just understanding that the world is a lot bigger than you think, and the more
Mm.
information you get, the more you see the world in a different light, and the more you get to understand that there's more to life than just you know the material things and all this stuff. It's about seeing, if you get the opportunity to go see the world. And same thing, there's a lot of Jamaicans that live in Jamaica that never left the parish that they grew up in,
Mm.
or never traveled to another side of the island, never took the opportunity to go to a resort just to kind of see how tourists live, right? So, and I always say, what's important to you is what's important to you. You can't miss what you don't have, right? So if you've never had, right? If you've never, there are people that don't have running water and all this other stuff, like my grandparents, but they were happy. They never worried about having a cell phone. Granted, cell phones wasn't invented yet when I was a kid. It was yeah, actually it was the big one, the big giant phone. But it's just, to me, the material things don't matter. It's the memories. The memories are what's most important, right? For me, having deployed, I've missed a lot of time with my kids and stuff as they were growing up, but now I have the opportunity to give them those memories, and it's never too late to build those memories, because that's the most important thing in life is the memories and the legacy that you leave. Sorry, I'm kind of long-winded on that one, but
No, it's fine. I mean, it's perfectly fine with me. As I said, guys, he's an amazing storyteller. And once again, allow me to thank everybody for jumping over to support Winston from my community. I really thank you for that. And I can see all of you there, like, interacting and connecting and, also just, participating in the conversations. And thank you so much for that. I have there are a few reactions coming through on this conversation. There's one particularly I wanted to highlight for you. Miss TikTok Girl said something very nice. Growing up, I thought you were rich too because my mom worked hard and provided for us. I tell my kids I never went to bed hungry.
yeah.
So I think I like that. And then Anna Boo, who is our guest next week, says in Canada as well. I think she was just trying to agree with what you were saying earlier on the same point. And then Keisha says, that's funny, when I discovered parts of my home state here in the USA only after marrying my West African husband. He loves to travel. Now I love to be on the go exploring the world.
That's it. That is it.
Yeah. And then I think Masha T says, true. More to live. Still, many can't miss what they didn't have. Simplicity in life and building memories is key. Just trying to agree with you in terms of the value system.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You guys are really concentrated at the Sunday service. I'm impressed. And thank you so much. I see everybody there on the other side. Let me see. Let's talk about your military service, and I know we'll keep circling back and forth, but that's the beauty of the Sunday service, a free-flowing conversation. The army is one of those things that it does not come naturally to most people, but for you, just even when you're giving the introduction, you said you had always been fascinated, with those kind of environments, the cadet, with, just enforcement. Those things used to they used to draw you. If you were to look back at all these years of service, because you gave like over 20 years of your time. Is it? I don't know if you can correct me. 20, yeah, you gave like nearly a quarter of a century of your years to military service. What were the biggest life lessons the army taught you? Because that's a long time. I think you spent like more time in the army probably than anything that you ever did. Yeah. What were the most biggest life lessons that space taught you? Tell us both the beautiful ones and even the brutal ones. Because I know army people are they're very direct. Yeah. Talk to us about those lessons, both the brutal and the beautiful ones.
So the brutal ones is the life change, right? Because the military is very structured. All right.
Yeah.
So as a civilian, you can go out and do what you want, do something crazy, but the military is very structured, and the way the military is built is they take you from a civilian that just willy-nilly do what you want, go crazy, whatever, pierce your ears, do all the crazy stuff you want to do.
Tattoos and stuff.
Yeah, to a structured environment to where now someone basically directs your daily life, right? Someone above you by position is going to direct your daily life.
Yeah.
And you have to conform to that, right? So when you go to basic training, it didn't matter what your color was, what your race was, what country you were from, male, female, didn't matter. You had to go through basic training, right? And basically, that it's more physical and it's more mental. It's physical, but it's more mental, right? So you learn to overcome things, right? You now you're in a mindset where, and again, it's what if it's something that you really want, you're gonna go for it. And the military taught me that. All right, I want to graduate from basic training. I want to be in the Army, so I'm gonna do what it takes to graduate, right? So my mindset, it got it to a point because you got people yelling at you and doing all this crazy stuff on a daily basis, and you can't do nothing about it. Where if you're in the civilian world, you probably would have gotten into a fight, you know, with somebody yelling at you, right? So it taught you patience, right? Because again, you have somebody that's probably your same age, you know, because and they're yelling at you. You're like, well, my parents don't yell at me like this. You can't talk to me like that. But you have to go. But you have to have that mindset. Okay, I'm here for a job. I'm here to get through this training. So your mindset changes to where you're like, okay, I gotta conform to the situation that I'm in right now, right? So then, once you get through that, you realize it's a mental thing. Everything else becomes easy. And for most people that have gone through military training, they'll more than likely agree with me that it was more of a mental thing. Yes, there are physical aspects to it, but it was more of a mental thing. Discipline. There you go, Reds. So one of the craziest things I learned was time management, right? Because and you see why I'm always early, right? Because
guys, before you explain that, let me tell you, Winston, I met Winston courtesy of Simone, who is watching here, who is watching the live stream, and Simone and Winston are collaborating. Simone said something that really made me laugh. He's like, guys, Winston arrived even before me, and I was like, military precision, time management. Over to you.
And that's one of the things they taught us. They were like, you should always be there 10 minutes prior, right? You should always 10 minutes to whatever time you're supposed to be at a location, you need to be there. And that's always stuck with me. Like, I would rather be early than be late. Like, it is one of my pet peeves about being late. I don't like people waiting on me, right? So if you say, hey, we're meeting at 10 o'clock, I will be there 10 minutes prior to 10 o'clock. You know, it kind of sucks for me because when I go to parties and
You're always the first one.
I'm the first one. And then they put me to work. They put me to help cook and all this other stuff, you know. So which I don't mind cooking, of course, but you know, it kind of works against me sometimes. So on that side of it, you know, once I got into the mental aspect of, I said the time management I was talking about was one of the things they used to do was you had to have your boots ready every day, inspection ready every day. Your boots and your uniform was one of the things you had to have inspection ready every day.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you had your off duty time, and it was up to you what you wanted to do with it. But the one thing you had to make sure was when you stepped in formation the next morning and you lined up, guess what? Your boots better be right. Your uniform better be right, you know? So if you wanted to spend the entire day doing nonsense and go hanging out, as long as you might spend the last couple hours of the morning making sure your boots were shined, but you better make sure that it was done before you went into formation, you know? So time management, definitely. I learned a lot of time management, and again, the discipline that goes with it. And then the thing that most people, the better side of it is people don't realize the military is really like the civilian world, because its only difference is the structure. And, you know, you have every single job that you have in the civilian world, from nurses to doctors. There's even a guy that fixes lawnmowers. I never knew there was a job in the military that all they do is fix lawnmowers, you know, or small engines, right? So there's a balance between the military and the civilian world, because it majority of jobs do give you the opportunity to, when you leave the military, to you can transition to the civilian world with those jobs. So, but I love every aspect of it. The best part is as you get promoted, you have to do less.
Yeah, the higher you go, the rank.
Yeah, not really. I mean, it's a lot more stressful because now you're responsible for people, you know, and that could be stressful in itself. But yeah, So one of my things, one of my supervisors used to always tell me is like, your goal is to achieve the next rank, and I've always told that to my troops as I came up in the military. I said, if you want to achieve, and I think it goes for the civilian world as well. If you want to achieve the next rank up, look 2 ranks above the position you're trying to get to, and if you can qualify for that position, then the other one is easy to make. So always look 2 steps above what you're trying to get to, right? So if you're somebody that works in a kitchen and you want to become a chef or you want to become a sous chef, look at what it takes to be a chef. And if you can do everything that you qualify to be a chef, then being a sous chef is going to be easy because you're already qualified for both jobs. So you're setting yourself up for success because you're 2 steps ahead of the game. So they always say be ready so you don't have to get ready, and that's one of my philosophies.
I love that, and there's a lot of excitement on the chat because of this. I don't know, people are getting so excited about this question. But Kevni, she also served in the army, and she did have the honor of also hosting the Sunday service last year. She says, so true. If you're not mature, grown up, you will learn very fast that they are not in control. Yeah. Okay. And then I think you have season says, you have to be strong in every way if you want to be in the military, for sure. And let me just highlight a few questions there. Special, of course, came in here with our own theory. That's why, ladies, you don't date a military man.
That's not true, Special.
They don't like it when you are late for a date. Of course, Special had to come through. And then Masha T says, training, I say it is physical, spiritual, mental endurance. The mindset needs to be tough and ready to be adaptable and equipped. Especially as a woman, I wanted to fight. I have never fought in my life. So Masha T just capturing some experience. Auntie Marge says, I have 3 nephews in the army in Jamaica. And then Miss V is wondering, I am told basic training can be physically grueling. So just tell us in a very few words, Winston. Everybody seems to be like very obsessed with the idea of physical. Talk to us about the physical training. Do we need to be strong? Do we need to go to the gym? What was that experience like?
So honestly, what they do is they look at you from a perspective because you're getting different people at different levels of fitness that's coming into the military, right? So if you came in as a fat person, no disrespect to fat people, but if you came in as a fat person, they're going to get you skinny. If you were too skinny, they're going to feed you. It's just the way it is. And they were very good at that. If you were like a little, because when I went in the military, I was 132 pounds. I was 132 pounds. I'm 197 now. So by the time I left basic training, I was 165 pounds. So the physical part, everybody has to endure, right? Everybody gets through the physical part, and at the end of the day, they're training you to be a warfighter. They're training, it's sad to say, but they're training you to be to take somebody's life at the end of the day, or defend your country, right? And I always said it didn't matter what your job was in the military. We all have a role, but once you get out of basic training, there is still the physical training, because you have to do a required fitness test every 6 months, some places every year, depending on what branch of the military that you're in. But then it becomes an individual thing, right? So you have organized fitness and you have individual fitness. You have some guys that they go to the gym every day. You have some guys, they just go to the chow hall every day, So it just depends on what your mindset is. So if your mindset is to stay in shape, you're going to stay in shape. If you're, again, just because you go through military training doesn't mean you have a military mindset. Not everybody has it, right? And
Mm.
you find, and again, it doesn't take away from what you offer either
Mm.
way, right? So yeah, it's about, a lot of times it's about looks, because you're in the military, you're supposed to be, you know looking
Yes.
buff, and yeah, that's what the expectation is. But again, we have to understand, we're people, we all have our different things that we do, and things that we eat, and things that we like, and so forth. So not, some people like to play video games, some people like to go to the gym, some people like to run, some people like to, so it just depends. But at the end of the day, it doesn't detract from that person being a warfighter, because sometimes the person that shows up the most is the person you least expect, right? Because
Mm.
you're looking at the physical person, he's like, he's out of shape, but then something kicks off, the war kicks off, and that might be the guy taking the hill, because he or she had that mindset, right? And they were willing to defend themselves or defend you. So that's what it just goes back to show that, like I said, just because of how people look, don't judge people based on how they look, right? Because their mindset is completely different, and they might think like you, or they might not think like you, right? But we always judge by looks first, right? That's generally people's
That's the
but
people
but
see it.
but but physically, I mean, it varies by branches of the military, and we always make fun of each other as branches. It's a
Mm.
give and take kind of thing. The Marine Corps is the premier guys, that they just kill everything. That's their job. And then, when I was in the Army, we are like almost Marines. Or so they say. And then the Air Force is like the business branch. We don't they don't go to war. They just hang out. So it's this. But they all have physical fitness standards. I think the basic trainings are different for each branch.
Yeah.
So, but again, mentally, it's a mental thing. If you physically, you can make it through.
Liz, leave me alone. Look at what Liz is saying. So, Winston, if Goga wants to join the military, will they feed him?
Oh.
Like, focus, focus. like, like of all the things Winston has talked about, that is the only thing you could. Liz, leave me alone. Leave me
She's,
alone, Liz. Like,
so what's she trying to
why?
say? You need to eat? Is that what she's trying to say?
Where did that come from, Liz? I thought you were friends, Liz. Like, why?
Look, I saw you did a 5-course meal the other day, so it's not like you can't eat.
Winston, can you stop the receipt? Winston, you're the Sunday service guest. How do you know about the 5 courses? Okay. Some interesting reactions on the chat. I just want to get your, maybe you may have something to add. Lithia says, even the strongest military men or men or women have a weakness. We are only human. It is all about how you hold yourself together,
Yeah.
self-control, and self-discipline. And then Mashati was saying, in addition to being trained to take a life, also plus learn how to swim or sink, especially saving a person or the mannequin dummy is strapped to you.
Yeah, I'll be sinking.
Redrum said the same thing, that you just sink.
Yeah, I'll be sinking. That's why I joined the Navy. I mean,
Okay.
I can swim, but yeah, that's too much. I'd rather stay on the land.
Okay, and then especially saying that Jamaican shore fishing is on the live stream, so she's behaving because she has been taking people's phones. So people are being censored because of especially people alone.
No, she can't help it. She can't help it.
And then Kevnish said, when I went in, I could not do one single push-up, but they made me drop for push-ups every time they saw me. When it was time for my PT test, I maxed everyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Same here.
Wow.
Same here.
Wow, Kevnish, amazing reactions. Guys, I'm trying to see what people are saying here. Let me see. Okay, Anna Bu has a very interesting question. There is no makeup in the military.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's not true. You can wear makeup. You can wear makeup. It just depends on the situation. If you're going out to the field, then you don't need to wear makeup.
And then Big Boss Lady T says, I barely made it through ROTC in high school. She laughs. She laughs there. Okay, very interesting questions there, guys, on Winston's experience in the military. Curious question. Wait, there's Auntie Maggie is adding something else. and each one of them have a trade that they train for other military duties. One
Mm-hmm.
electrician and one construction. I think, yeah, that's what you're trying to say in terms of what other people do.
Skills, yes. Mm-hmm.
The skills that they add. Let me ask you, Winston, about your experience overseas. You hear about this. You've gone on a mission. You talked about Kosovo. I know you can't, of course, without disclosing so much, because I know these are things that we can't discuss at length. But what was the overseas experience like, actually being sent on a mission? Because sometimes you could just, sometimes you could assume that maybe I'm in the barracks just chilling,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe waiting, for the lighter duties. But what was that experience, especially being sent overseas? There's a post you made about at the heart of COVID, you had actually been deployed, and you're even worried whether you're going to make it back home to your family.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like, even just on a mental level? That uncertainty that you may not go back home. Uh,
Yeah, it's so again, it goes back to that mental state, right?
yeah,
You train for it, right? You train for it, you train for it, you train for it, hoping that it never happens. It's like insurance. You get it just in case, right?
yeah.
And you never think you might have to use it. Um, but depending on where you are, because again, not everybody that deploys is in a what they call a combat situation, right? Where depending on your job, there are some people that are actively out there being engaged with the enemy.
Mm,
Some jobs you might not be. Some jobs put you so far back behind the front line, so you might not see what everybody considers combat. Well, you're in a combat environment, so everything. So it's different for depending on the branches and where you are, where you're assigned, your duty location. Mentally, one, you have to prepare yourself that you might have to pull the trigger at some point, right?
ooh,
Whether it's actually physically being out there, or they attack your base and you have to defend the base, right?
mm,
So it doesn't exclude anyone from being in a combat situation. Um, then there's the leaving your family behind. That's probably one of the biggest ones, because you go from every day controlling your environment to an uncontrolled environment where it might cost you your life at any given moment. So now your whole family flips upside down, because and that's one of the things about preparation is, and I don't care how much you prepare, nobody wants to separate from their family, right?
mm,
Again, you miss birthdays, you miss anniversaries, you miss all the things that you consider important in life, but you have a mindset that you're doing it so they can have the freedoms that they need to have back home, right?
mm,
That's in the back of my mind anyway, is that I'm doing this because it's going to protect the freedoms of my family to keep doing what they're doing and have the freedoms that they have. So I think mentally that's a big part of it, is that family separation, especially if things weren't so right at home before you left.
yeah,
That mentally that can take a toll on you, and it takes a toll on you being able to perform your mission, because you're so worried about what's going on back home.
true.
You can't do the job you're supposed to do and defend and protect your friends, your buddies to your left, right, front and back, right? um so mentally, I think it's probably more challenging mentally than it is physically. um and again, it depends on what your career field is. If you're in the infantry, you got a rucksack on, you're humping through wherever, and it's a different job compared to the guy that works in the dining facility, because he never leaves the dining facility, he's cooking the food. But again, just like you, who's out there humping, he has a role, because his job is to make sure that when you get back from your mission, you got good food in your belly. So it's all a part of the process. I feel like you see a lot of people embellish their roles in the military, because they feel like they should have been in a position to do something cool, as they would call it. But like I said, we all have a role. Everybody plays a role in the process. And I would tell you a quick story with that. I remember one of my this was when I was in Iraq in '07. and we used to go out and do what we call post checks, where we just go check on. So I was police, military police in the Air Force, and we are the ones that defend the base, right?
Mm.
And I used to go out and just do post checks and check on the troops just to make sure they're doing okay. You know, we go out there, we talk to them, make sure they're okay. And I remember this one young kid, and I talked to him, and I said, "How are you feeling?" And he said, "You know," he looked at me, he said, "Sarge, you know, I feel like a high-paid security guard, right?" Because he was one of those guys that wanted to be outside in the all the activities, right?
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, "Well, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it like, okay, you don't feel like you're contributing to the job, or you can look at it like the guys that are actually out there getting into firefights and stuff, when they come in at night, they trust you enough to do your job, they can actually close their eyes and go to sleep, right? So you look at your job that way, that you're providing a security element to where they've gone through some crazy stuff, fighting the enemy, getting shot at and all this stuff, and they trust you enough that you're going to do your job, so when they lay down at night, they can actually literally close their eyes and go to sleep." And he's like, "Oh, I never thought about it like that." So again, that's why I said we all have a role, you know, and don't discount what your, no matter how small you think it is, don't discount what your role is.
I like that. Thank you so much, Liz, for the super sticker. May your pot bring in abundance. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
that, Liz.
Lise.
Thank you, Liz, for the super sticker. There are very interesting questions coming through on the chat based on this conversation. Miss TikTok Girl says, "My daughter had planned to go to the Air Force, then she changed her mind. I felt so heartbroken. I felt so heartbroken." And then the world of Ragas be like, "He's mentioning Germany for the sixth time now. I can adopt him and he can stay here for good." Okay. Ragas behave. And guys, Ragas, yeah. Winston, you have been adopted by Germany.
Hey, hey, I'll be there. I'll be there. As long as you
Okay,
got
and then
as long as you got beer and schnitzel, I'm good to go.
Special is asking a question that I was going to actually ask as a follow-up. So Special is asking, can this cause PTSD because you are thinking too much, it becomes overwhelming?
Well, yes. PTSD is subjective because it depends. I mean, and everybody can go through PTSD,
Yeah, for sure.
right? So PTSD is just a reaction to a situation that you've been in. It could be good, it could be bad. Again, if you can have PTSD just from being away from home, right? That alone can cause you post-traumatic. Like, for example, I think military PTSD is a lot different from a regular civilian, what civilians call, because PTSD is a term that came from the military anyway, right? So you will find different people in, again, what I was talking about before, different people in different roles will have different forms of PTSD, right? For example, I never, in one of the simplest things, all right, so I have a form of PTSD that's whenever there was they have what they call a giant voice, right? So it's a system. It's this huge speaker that gives you alerts and stuff on the base, right? They have it here in the States, they have it here overseas as well, and there are different reasons for them using it. Okay, so if we got a rocket attack on the base, right, you would hear the alarm goes off, and they'll tell you different alarms based on what it is. And one of the things that still resonates with me was they had a specific one where somebody had gotten injured in an attack or whatever it was, and they needed blood. So they needed everybody that was available to come out and donate blood. So you know it was something bad. So you would, at some point, you would when you heard that alarm, you know exactly what it was. So to this day, if I ever heard that alarm go off, I would think that we needed to go donate blood to someone
Wow.
that got injured. You know what I'm saying? And there's different alarms for different things. So when you hear them, that's a form of PTSD because you think about that stuff. I've lost some of my troops overseas to rocket attacks and stuff like that, and having seen that, um, I have a different mindset about if I hear that alarm again, it still triggers me to respond, right? Um, so it varies. It varies. There's different stress levels, and again, we're all different. Different people can handle stress in different ways. Um, you could put 100 people in the same situation, and you're going to get 100 different results because we're all different, right?
Mm.
In how we handle stress. Um, so I never realized that I had PTSD until after I left the military because everything seemed normal. To me, it was normal until I actually sat down with a psychiatrist and he was like, yeah, you got PTSD. He's like, what you think is considered normal people don't do, you know. But it's just, and that's, I guess that to say that is, it's good to go talk to somebody. There's this stigma about not going to, I'm a man and I'm a
Yeah.
warrior and I don't want to go talk to somebody. Yeah, if you, because there's the statistics that there's at least 22 veterans that commit suicide daily. I
Mm.
don't know if I don't think it's exactly 22, but it's even one is too much, you know. So as far as PTSD goes, it's good to go. That old stigma of you're a man and you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't go talk to somebody. Yeah, the resources are out there. So
Mm.
I encourage anyone that has been in the military and has those thoughts to go out and speak to someone, because there's like 100 times what it was. I guarantee you the guys that went to Vietnam wish they had some of the resources that are out there now for veterans um, dealing with PTSD. And again, you see it as normal, but it's not normal. So, and it's some simple things like I never thought about. Like, I give you one example. I tell the guy I check all my doors at night before I go to bed, and he's like, "Yeah, regular people don't do that." It's like, normal people don't do that. They don't like check. You might check the front door, but you don't
Because the
check the.
training and you're
Yeah,
literally wired, it's already wired in you to be checking for.
yeah, yeah, and that's and I'll check it 2 or 3 times. Even if I just checked it, I'll go back and check again. So that is a form of PTSD, even though I think it's normal to just go check all my doors and make sure everything's secure. Like the average person probably doesn't do that. So again, I always recommend that, I tell you this, one of the things that and this is kind of personal, but I think I need to put it out there, is I remember when I retired, and that's how the whole PTSD thing came in, was I found that I started to drink a lot more, right? When I retired from the military, because
Mm.
I didn't have that camaraderie that I had with my friends on a daily basis, right? And I felt like I'd gone into some kind of depression,
Mm.
just from not being around my military family. I was home, and yeah, I was home with my family, but I also was like, man, I never realized that I was gonna miss my military family so much.
Wow.
And it's a separation of life, right? Like my home is my home, the military is the military, and it's like two different things. Like we do our stuff on the military side. I got my friends friends on the civilian side. I got my friends on the military side, and it's like two different things. So yeah, that was that. I never knew I kind of self-referred myself to that, because I talked to my doctor and I was like, yeah, I think I'm drinking too much.
Mm.
And he's like, all right, you need to go. So I actually sat in on a couple of sessions, one-on-one sessions with a therapist, and it definitely helped. It definitely helped. Like I wasn't like, raging, doing crazy stuff, like passing out in the yard, naked or something like that. It wasn't. But one of the things about me, I'm a self-evaluator.
Mm.
So I'm always evaluating myself in things I do, and just to make sure that I'm doing the right things. And if I feel like I'm slipping somewhere, then I'll be like, I'm talking to myself. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm talking to myself like, Winston, you don't need to do that. You need to get right, and I do it a lot to myself. If I'm doing something that I feel like is going to get out of control, I always self-evaluate, and I will check myself basically, you know.
Wow. You have an important question here by Rebecca Prince. Rebecca was asking, Winston, what were your expectations about the military life before you joined? And how did they change after you served? And then she adds there, you're appreciated.
Thank you, Rebecca. um I honestly, as far as expectations go, I did not know what to expect.
Mm.
Um, I did have some experience. Like I said, I was a Boy Scout. I was a Cub Scout. I was a cadet in high schools. And a cadet in Jamaica is almost, you're almost in the military. You know,
Mm.
a cadet in Jamaica is like you're close to being. You can actually go straight into the military from being a cadet in Jamaica. So I had the expectations of discipline, and that's what I like. I like the discipline. I like the structure. That's what attracted me to the military. Um,
Mm.
and then honestly, I don't think anything changed. I think the only thing that changed was I learned that you could be as successful as you want to be with the work that you put into the military, right? Um, and it was so easy. Like all you had to do was be in the right place at the right time in the right uniform. you know, when you think about the simplicity of it, that's literally what it boiled down to. Right place, right time, right uniform. And you could be successful in the military. You could move through the ranks and get promoted. You know, the difference was as you went up, and now you're responsible for, as a they call it a non-commissioned officer or an officer. You have to now you're responsible for other people's careers. You know, so I think it didn't really change my my personality. And I always say there's good people and bad people. If you had a bad personality before you um, put some rank on and some position on, you're probably going to be a bad leader. You know,
True.
if you're a good person, then for me it was more about reaching up and pulling up that next person. If you talk to any one of my troops throughout the years, and that's because of my leadership that I had some good leadership that brought me up, that showed me the way to say, hey, don't forget where you came from, and when you're in a position to help somebody else, use that position to help somebody else. So I'm always about spreading that knowledge and telling the next, because I always say, prepare your subordinates to take your job. That's what you're supposed
Mm.
to do.
Powerful. Yeah.
You're supposed to prepare your subordinates to take your job. That means you're mentoring them and making sure that they know everything, because that's what I get. Hey, chief, how did you get to that position? You know what? I work hard and I had good leadership, and
Mm.
I replicated that as I moved up the ranks, is making sure that my troops were taken care of and they had the opportunity to progress.
I love that. There was a very nice comment by Liz. Liz said something that is going to transition me into maybe what I'm going to ask you next. So Liz said, having a family member in the military seems so similar in feeling to having a family member with a rare disability and unexpectedness that comes with it. You always have to be prepared and ready.
Hmm.
Winston, as a husband, first of all, did it help that Lynn Ados was also like in the National Guard because she had the mindset. In case anything happened, of course, she also had that training. She had that mindset, also with that military background. Uh, um, what kind of support, has the family been, especially when you're in service? You missing out on birthdays and things like that, and still assured that the family is fine, the kids are doing well. What kind of family support at least anchored you as a father and a husband?
Well, I can tell you, Lynn is a blessing, because just it's hard for a parent to take care of children when you're gone.
True.
I think it did help that she was in the military, so she did understand a little bit more. Not that she wanted me to be gone, right?
For sure.
right? But she definitely understood the mission. So with me being gone, then it was the mission is now all hers, right? The mission of taking care of the kids, running the house, doing all those things. And one of the things was when you it's like a transition period, right? So when you leave, then mom takes over, right? So the
Yeah.
things that dad was doing is not there, so mom has to do dad things, right? And then when you come back, it's you want to jump in right away and take over dad duties, but you
Yeah.
have to understand that mom's not that she doesn't want to give it up, she probably does, but
Mm,
you kind of have to slow transition back into the dad roles, right? um I think it was always about letting the kids especially understand
mm,
what you were going to do and why you were gone, you know. um so my kids were very good. um that's a blessing in itself, because my kids have always been good, from kids all the way up to now adults. They've always been just great children.
yeah.
So it made the job her job easier. It made my job easier, and it was more of like, okay, daddy's gone. How long is he gone for now?
Yeah.
So it kind of made it a little bit easier on them, because I didn't want to put the burden on them of the situation that I was going into,
True.
because I didn't want them to worry, you know, and I felt like that made it a little bit easier, because yeah, it's still stressful that I'm gone, but at
Mm,
least, I don't put that on them to where they're like, okay, he's in combat and he might be gone and never come back, so it's a balance, and I think over time, the one good thing I can say is that we never moved around a lot. I think
mm,
that is usually with military families, that's usually the biggest challenge, is throughout your career. A lot of times you find a lot of military families that move around to different bases, right?
yeah.
Depending on what they're trying to accomplish, you might move to 3 or 4. And for the kids, every time they make friends somewhere, they might be at a duty assignment. I think back then the minimum you had to do was like 2 years, 2 3 years of the duty assignment, and then you had to, if you move to another base, then of course by the time your kids have made friends, now they have to move to another base, another state, another country, possibly, and have to readopt. So then now they make new friends again, and it's just a constant thing every time they move, right? So the blessing for me was I only got stationed really 2 places. I mean, I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and I went to Germany, and then I came right back to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So it wasn't, and Lynn is from North Carolina, so her parents were there and so forth. So that helped out. Um, where if I had, who knows if I had gone like 4 or 5 different bases, how it would turn out,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's you have to understand that your parental role changes. Um, you have to accept the fact that you might miss some birthdays, some anniversaries and stuff like that. But then, you can't get back time, right? So all you can do is just create new memories, right? For the ones that you miss. You can never get time back, but you can create new memories. So that's the way I look at it.
Transitioning from the military back to civilian life cannot be easy. So you retired from military service, and as everybody says, thank you so much for your service. Because I mean, 25 years is a lot. Like I think to
Half my
serve
life.
25, yeah, that's your life literally serving the nation, just to make sure that the country is safe, and it's not a mean feat at all.
Mhm.
How did you begin, like, preparing just mentally? Because let's say when you're just about to retire, you are living, and this is me moving away from the PTSD and all that. When you're just living the a life of structure, where it's a lifestyle that is very high stakes. You're used to precision and things like that, and now you have to come to a laid back kind of lifestyle. how did you mentally start preparing yourself for that? And even when maybe even after you retired, how did you even just make that adjustment? And then you realize, oh, you know what? I don't need, there are no boots to be cleaned. There's no uniform to prepare. Relax. Or it can even be like, okay, let me try to channel this energy into something else. So talk to us about that shift and transition now back into civilian life after 25 years of
Drink
the same.
drink more beer. No, I'm just kidding. So honestly, it wasn't for me. It wasn't that hard of a transition because I didn't do full active duty to my retirement. I did my last 15 years was in the reserves.
Yeah.
Um, and you're basically a civilian on military duty, right? So you have your civilian job on a weekly basis, and then once a month you do your military duty, and then you do like a 2-week rotation every year.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit easier for me if I was like straight full active duty my entire military career, because I was able to the transition wasn't that hard for me because I already had my civilian job. So I
Mm.
was doing my military duty and my civilian job at the same time. I think for someone that's just straight active the entire time, it's a little bit different. It was so, for example, when I got off active duty, so I got to experience it, right? When I got off
Yeah.
active duty out the army, that was a a difficult transition because, like you said, I had everything was there. The
Yeah.
food, the food was I could go to the chow hall and eat at any time. Everything was structured, everything was there. And then here I am now saying, okay, the checks ain't coming in every month, like it used to be, right? On time, right? Straight into the bank account every month. We ain't got to worry about that. The money is coming. So when I transitioned from the army to the civilian world, that was I'm really glad I had that experience because when it was time to retire from in general, I'd already gone through a transition from the military to the civilian world, right?
Ah,
Um,
good.
and that's where I actually learned that was well. So during my military time, I never really focused on school or anything else like that. Um, Lynette got out the military before I did, a couple months, and she had already transitioned to become a civilian, and she was working a civilian job. So I decided to get out, and she actually helped me find a job um, on the civilian side. And like I said, I didn't want to give up all my military time, so that's the reason why I joined the reserves, because I still crave that structure. I still didn't want to give up my time. I missed it. I wanted that structure, even though I was as a civilian, I was working for the military as a civilian, but it was still the civilian world is completely different from that. You
Mm.
don't have to, you can just take leave and all that stuff when you want to. Where in the military, it's a little bit different. Yeah, you can take leave, but that comes with what the mission is available and so forth. So that transition really helped me going from active army to the civilian world, because, like you said, you don't the a lot of times the job that you have in the military doesn't
Mm.
transition to a civilian job, right? Depending on what you do in the military. So not everybody, and if you don't put a degree behind it, and as the years went on, you needed a degree behind the position
What
that you
you?
were doing, right?
Yeah.
So like I was a surveyor in the army, and it was a great civilian job, but I didn't have a degree behind it. So that's where I actually started doing my college. So I had like zero college when I came out of the military, even though the military pays for it, right? I had I
Yeah.
had zero college, but then depending on where I wanted to get to, so Lynn was doing her college, um, while she was working as a civilian, and my mindset was okay. Back then, you could get a job. When degrees started to become a thing, you had to have at least an associate's degree to be competitive, right? And
Mm.
as time went on, you had to then now it's a bachelor's. now it's a master's, right? So like these
Yeah,
days, if you don't even have a master's degree, people are not even looking at you. And
that's true.
so Lynn was like doing her degrees, and I decided I was gonna do my degrees at the same time she was. So we ended up finishing, both of us, with 3 master's degrees. Lynn
Wow.
Lynn almost has her doctorate. I think she's gonna finish that up now that she's retired. So, um, you know, but I never thought that I would have or do that much education. But I thought, because I get bored very easily. so, 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 but segue into that kind of transition into YouTube for me.
Hmm.
That's where kind of YouTube came in, because now I'm not in the military anymore. I don't have to go to my drill weekends and all that. So I'm like, I got to find something to do. And I was already doing stuff. I was already cooking, loving to cook and all this stuff. And Lynn was already breaking stuff so I could be home. So I had to fix it. She's probably watching upstairs, but you know. So I like to learn. I love to learn. I love to do things myself, and that's where the whole DIY came in and stuff like that. Because it almost seems like every time I had to go somewhere, something would break. And I'm like, Lynn, are you breaking this stuff because I'm going somewhere? So, so, so
Yeah.
then
I-
I just always fix something, and then, like I said, that was it.
Okay. As we get into now the YouTube journey, a few comments here from Mashati made some very nice comments here, and I'm sure Lynn will be smiling. Guys, if you're wondering who is the beautiful queen you're seeing on the screen, that is the lovely Lynn that Winston keeps talking about. That is the wife to Mr. Winston. They've been married they celebrated their anniversary, I think, a couple of months ago, 28 years,
In
right?
March, yeah.
Yeah, in March, they celebrated their 28-year anniversary. Mashati says Mrs. Lynn's military knowledge and experience makes it easier on the children, especially when questions are asked. She understood and and she had an assurance of the heart and mindset of each child. That's a very beautiful comment. And then Mashati is asking you a question. I think that will be our final question on the military experience. Guys, you can go and ask him these things on the Tiki Bar chat if you have more questions next Saturday. And the Mashati is asking, based on your experience and Sister Lynn's experiences, would you encourage and support any of your kids to join the services? That is, if they are not in the service.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, people go in the military for different reasons. I don't think anybody goes in the military just to be, well, some people go in to be war fighters. Not everybody, but everybody goes in the military for different reasons. I will tell you this. On the back end of military service, even if you only do one term,
Yeah.
the benefits are exponential if you use them, right? I would not discourage anyone from joining the military. I've actually had a lot of my friends reach out to me to talk to their kids about joining the military. I almost thought my baby girl was going to join the military because she was in ROTC,
Yeah.
but she didn't, but I'm not disappointed that she didn't either, but yeah, honestly, I would encourage anyone, if your kids have that mindset that they want to join the military, it's only going to benefit them, especially on the back end when they are out of the military. There are so many benefits to it. I'm living proof of that. That
Amazing.
you can, and it's kind of funny that there's a lot of people that go in not intending to stay and end up spending their, like myself, spending it at 25 years or 30 years in the military.
Yeah.
So I definitely encourage it.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Auntie Maj, for that comment. Yes, guys, we have to pray for our families when they go in the military for their mental and physical health. Thanks so much, Auntie Maj, for that particular
Thank you, Aunt
comment.
Madge. Thank you.
Yeah. There is a very beautiful comment that came through, and that is going to be an interesting transition into our next part of the conversation. Guys, don't worry, I will try to capture as much as I can. Anna Boo says, where does the passion come from when you're cooking? Not a lot of Caribbean men love to cook. Let me tell you, have you gone to Winston's channel, guys? Like, Me, I go there sometimes and I'm stuck there for like an hour watching him cook. It's amazing. It's fascinating. It let me see that I can pull up some part of that. Wait. I get it for you.
Hold on,
Guys,
give me
look at
1 second. Let me go get my charger for this thing. I'll be right back.
all right. So guys, look at this. I want you to guys look at this slide deck, especially the pictures of him in the kitchen. And that can give us a nice transition. David Ant, don't worry, I have your question. I've noted it. So you can see what's going on the screen. So look at him there in his amazing garden with the hat. Rhythm was asking about this hat win. Like, where's your hat today? Where's your hat? And then there's that one. So that is going to transition us into the conversation about food. Look at that chicken. Yo, look at that chicken. And then look at David Dant. That is okra on the screen. I don't even think I need to ask Winston that question. I don't think I need to ask Winston your question, David Hunt. It is very clear beyond peradventure that the man is okra certified. So as I wait for him to get back on the screen, I will leave this at that particular point for purposes of the conversation. Season says most Jamaican men cook. Their mama teaches them from early. Winston, when he was introducing himself, talked about the experience from the grandmother, and he was very grateful for he used to observe the grandmother a lot and picked some of the lessons from from here. So so Winston, back to the question that you're being asked. Anna
A
Boo is,
passion.
the passion, and because according to her, not a lot of Caribbean men love to cook. Is this a statement that you agree with,
No,
or? Okay.
I can only speak for Jamaican men. Most Jamaican men, no, in most aspects. I don't know about the younger generation now, but most
Yeah.
Jamaican men cook, right? It's something that growing up we used to do this thing we used to call running a boat, right?
Yeah.
So running a boat as a child, I remember we used to, like, as kids we used to pool our money together, right? So we would find bottles, right? So the old soda bottles, you could get money for them, right? You could sell the bottles and get, like, if they were worth like 25 cents a bottle, we would walk around and pick up bottles off the street, get a crate, and then go
Yeah.
sell it at the store, right? And you'd get money back, and then we would buy, whether it be chicken back, right? Which is like the cheapest parts of the chicken that you can get. You get some flour so you can make some dumplings, right? And you run a boat. So basically, there's always one guy in the group that could cook better than everybody else, right? And so that would be the chef, that would be the cook.
Yeah.
Make the neatest dumplings, and they could make some curry chicken back and dumpling. That was the staple of a boat, right? If you were cooking rice and peas, that's like a ship, because that's rich, and so we would just pool our money together, buy food, and then we just go to somebody's yard, and we cook, and we sit back and we eat, talk, socialize and so forth. So that's
Yeah.
where a lot of my passion came from. Like I said, I used to watch my grandmother cook, my mom. I never really, like, was in the kitchen cooking, learning how to cook. I actually watched. That's how I learned to cook, just kind of watching my grandmother cut up the vegetables, cut up the seasoning, season up the meat, and at some point I was one of the persons that was cooking. And over time, I learned cooking is an outlet, right? Cooking is an outlet it's like a creation when you create something for yourself, right? Women have babies. That is the greatest creation on earth. To me, cooking is the second best thing to having creating something out of nothing, So that's where my passion for cooking, and for me, it's not just about how good the food tastes, but actually people enjoying the food. Like that's one of my biggest passions is like when I cook the food and people are like, man, this tastes good. Because we don't eat from everybody. Jamaicans will tell you they don't eat from everybody because some people can't cook, right? Some people can't cook. There's some people out there who are just no, sir, no, you're not cooking. All right, this person is cooking, right? And I think a lot of Jamaicans can agree with that. That we don't just eat from any and everybody, and we like good food, right? We like, our food is very flavorful. As you can see with most channels that show their cooking, it's a lot of love that goes into to cooking. So that was it for me as far as my passion goes. It's just being able to provide something that people can enjoy, and food brings people together. So that is probably one of the best parts about it, is that it brings people together. It's like, and you always, the mom always say, when everybody quiet, that means the food good, right? Because nobody's talking. Nobody is talking, right? Everybody is eating, everybody quiet, and then once the food finished, then we start talk again. So that is my passion for cooking. And then as I transitioned to the US, America has a big food culture as well. So that's where I got into barbecuing and stuff like that, because I love to eat. I love food. I was almost say food for now, right? So
how do you say that again? I only see it on your shirt.
Yeah.
Food
Food for
pinyam.
now. Yes. Our food in English it means food for eat. So it's and it goes back to we all like what we like, right? We all come from different cultures. We like different types of food. And the one thing I don't like is when people dictate what you should eat, right? Like there are some people that are vegetarians. Okay, that's fine. If that's what you like, then that's what you like. But don't dictate to that next person, well, you know, if you eat pork, or you know, if you eat this, or you know, if you eat that, because that's what that person likes. We get one rotation on this earth. Enjoy it. Enjoy life. Enjoy, especially food. Yeah, you have to enjoy food. So that's where my passion is.
David Ant was asking a question here. Can you ask the host about the uncertainty of eating okra? What do you mean there's an uncertainty of eating okra? Let me pull up those receipts.
Yeah,
Are you seeing the receipts on the screen, David Hunt? How do you even ask Winston this question? Winston, can you answer? I've been sending David Hunt all the links to your okra videos on his WhatsApp just to annoy him.
All right, so let me tell you my okra journey. And
there's an okra journey.
Oh, I got an okra journey. So when I was growing up,
David,
when I was younger, you couldn't get okra past my mouth because I just felt like it was slimy. Like if I tried to swallow it, especially if it was like steamed okra.
Yeah.
And over time your palate changes. Over time certain things that you didn't eat when you were younger, your palate changes and you start to like certain things. And I'm telling you, I love me some okra. Love me some okra. What? Fried okra, steamed okra, especially on fish. Like there's in Jamaica, you don't get steamed fish without some okra on it. And nutritionally, it's very good. Okra is very good for you as well too. So it's one of the few vegetables out there that you actually get some good solid vitamins from. So yeah, but again, to each his own, right? Some people like it, some people don't. If you haven't tried it, I would say, nothing beat a trial but a failure. So if you try it and you don't like it, hey, God bless you. But I'm gonna continue eating okra as long as I'm alive. I love it.
David Dant, I'm going to say, are you seeing what I've typed on the screen? Food pinyam, okra pinyam. I'm going to add the name.
Yeah. I'm going to get a shirt that says okra pinyam.
Okra pinyam. Yeah. So one of the things that, even after leaving the army was just reinventing life, taking more charge of other things in the civilian life. So DIY, gardening, home improvement, as much as you say, Lean used things. Lean used to break things for you to fix them. And it became like a form of expression for you. I think after retirement, I love your DIYs. I can't imagine that you've created half the things literally in your backyard. Like it was your own work, your own handiwork in terms of this. Um, DIY, gardening, you're improving things, your hands are always busy fixing something. Is it something that was always with you, or is it something that you like intentionally said, oh, I need to go fix this, let me go learn how to bring parts together, or is it something that you always just used to do even from a young age, and you just fix things? It is that I've even seen you fix a car, like it's a lot of things happening there.
So it's kind of funny. A lot of it has to do with one. Like I said, I get bored very easily, so I like to
Yeah.
stay busy. But over time, like I never did any DIY. Like I said, the only thing I did as a kid was like, um, I love puzzles.
Mm.
So I guess putting things together, if you're thinking at the most basic level, I love to do puzzles. And then I'd say in the last 10 plus years is when I really got into DIY. And one of the reasons why is because one, it's cheaper to do it yourself sometimes. Like I said,
Mm.
I love to learn new things. So that's a big part of it, is like I like to learn to do things, like a new skill, right? Because they don't teach you skill anymore in school, in
True.
most schools. So I found that if I had if for example something broke in the house, and I paid a professional to come over and fix it, I would stand there and watch them, and I would ask questions, and they would be like, oh yeah, you would need this, and I was literally watch them. Sometimes I guess they must have felt uncomfortable, with me just standing there looking, but I was like, well, this is how much it costs. Oh, I can do this myself. Oh, okay, guess what? Next time, I'm a I'm gonna fix it myself.
That's the mindset.
Right? So so then after a while, the first real major project I did was, I have a shed in my yard. It's a 20 by 20-foot shed. And one of my friends, he helped me build it. You'll see him sometimes on some of my videos. He helped me put up the door on the one of my more recent videos. But he's the same kind of way. The guy's like very smart, super smart. He can read a manual and build it to standard. That's how he's that kind of guy, right?
Is this the
And
shirt
yeah,
with
that's the
the?
shed. That's the shed in the background right there.
Oh wow.
And two of us, well, we started out with three, and then two, and then one guy came, helped us out, and then we finished the shed by ourselves. So that was the first real major project that I did. And I was like, man, okay, I can do this. So then after that, I think my next project was when I did the deck, and that was probably one of the hardest ones that I had to do. But I found out YouTube has everything on there for you to learn how to do it.
The YouTube University.
Yeah, YouTube University. So,
Yeah.
anything that you think there's something that you need to learn, you can go on YouTube and look at it, and then of course you kind of put your little spin on it. But that's where I really kind of got into it. And like I said, there's nothing better than doing something yourself. The satisfaction of getting something done yourself is like exponential. And then if I decided to do that after I retired from my second job, I have a skill, I have a skill, so that's the way I look at it when it comes to DIY. I'm always looking for something new I can try out and learn. And like I said, when you own a house, everything breaks. Everything breaks. The only thing I don't mess with is electricity. That's the only thing I don't mess with. That when it comes to electricity, I will call the professionals. And even then, I'm still watching. There's some things I'll do, the smaller stuff.
They're like,
But
I'm on
yeah,
this.
yeah. But like the high voltage stuff, I don't mess with. But other than that, I will fix anything, and I will build anything within my comfort zone.
Yeah. Saniki got excited the moment you said DIY. She literally crawled out of the bush where she was hiding. Because anytime you mention DIY, Saniki DIY just comes out of the bushes because like, Goga, did you call me? I'm like, no, we are talking about DIY projects. Another amazing DIY project is this that you established last year, the
Tiki
Tiki Bar.
bar. Yeah.
The Tiki Bar is one of your amazing creations, and also what you call the is it the Stones Purple Palace.
The
These are
Purple
very
Palace. Yes.
yeah, these are very interesting projects that you added also as part of, and they were DIY projects. Talk to us about the Tiki Bar and why, where did the idea of the Tiki Bar, strike you the first time? And just looking at the pictures that are running through the screens, just seeing you like in your element, trying to like do the setup, paint it up. Where did this idea of the Tiki Bar come from?
So the tiki bar is actually something I wanted to do for a long time. So I'm always doing cookouts, you know. So I
Yeah,
have my friends and usually come out, especially like now it's football season, so I'm definitely gonna have a cookout. So I haven't had a major cookout since I did the tiki bar.
mm,
So the tiki bar actually came from the fact that I did my first here in the basement. I built the another bar,
mm,
and when I decided to do it, that was really one of my first projects inside the house, because when I got the house, the houses here have basements, and when we bought the house, it was carpet and all this stuff. So I was like, you know what, I don't like carpet. It's too hard to maintain. I don't even know why they put carpets in houses.
yeah,
But pull the carpet up. I put the floor down myself. So I bought the wooden floors. I put the floor down myself. So that was my first project. And I'm like, okay, now I got open space to work with. So I'm going to build this bar. So
yeah,
me and Lynn built it. So the concept is actually all in my head. And I just started building from the ground up. And as I built, I added, just so I looked at like different projects from other people. And I'm like, all right, this looks cool, but you have to tailor it to the location that you have.
yeah.
And so I went in, I built the bar, and it turned out great. All right. So when I got ready to build the tiki bar, I came downstairs and I looked at this bar down here, and I'm like, I don't remember how I built this. I was like, I don't remember how I built this thing. And I was like, man, this thing looks good. So then I
It looks
said,
amazing.
and I wanted to, as you can see, I have a pond. I have a koi pond right there by the tiki bar. So that koi pond I built myself, me and my same friend, D.
Wait, this is a pond that has like a waterfall thing behind it.
Yes, yes. It's a waterfall. I got koi
Wow,
fish.
Winston.
I
Winston,
got
you're one of those people. You have like that is like, oh my, you created that thing.
yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
guys, you need to go and watch one of Winston's videos. You will see this pond and there's like a whole waterfall. Like it's so bougie as hell. Like you need to go watch. The first time I saw this thing, I was like, is this Winston's compound or it's like a restaurant or something?
So yeah, the crazy part was when I bought this house,
Yeah,
the previous owners. So in that location where you see the pond and the tiki bar,
yeah.
the previous owner, he played golf, and he had this area
Oh,
as a putting green.
ooh.
So he had like turf down and all this other stuff where it was a legitimate putting green. So when we got the house, and I'm like, I don't play golf, so I'm gonna pull it up. And I always wanted a koi pond. I love fish. I have like 4 fish tanks in my house. So throughout my house I have fish tanks. So I love fish, to raise fish. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna build a tiki bar. So I dug this up. And matter of fact, this was right after my hernia surgery as well. So I had just had hernia surgery. I was
Oh,
in the
sorry.
house board, and I'm like, all right, I need to recover. I can't just lay here. So I'm gonna go dig a pit, right? So, and the same thing, the concept was in my head. I didn't even look at anything else, and I just know how I wanted it. So I started digging this thing. My friend Buddy helped me out, and we've had that koi pond now for about 6, 7 years. So
Wow.
that so then over time, that's I had a gazebo on there, and I moved stuff around, and then finally I said, you know what, I could put a tiki bar out here. I said, this is perfect. The waterfall is right there, the ambiance and all that. And the same thing, I started from scratch with no concept. I had a concept in my head of what I wanted, and as I
Wow,
built it, I just kind of moved along, and that's where it is now. Yeah.
nice. Louis is asking you any kind of fish inside. I
Yeah,
think you
so
mentioned.
I have koi fish, Japanese koi, and I have catfish in there. Actually, I
Oh
have some
wow,
good catfish they can eat. So if I ever need some food, I might have to catch some catfish out of there. But nah, they're all pets. They're all pets.
that's amazing. Let's talk about the Stones Purple Palace, which is where you are seated today, and
Yes,
this
sir.
is the picture on the screen, guys. Winston, like the first time I saw your palace, I thought you were like at a, I thought you're literally like at an establishment. You make these places look like you're visiting a restaurant or some high end spot. I did not know that this is all in your house. Like,
Yeah.
what do your friends say when they come to your house and they see all these things and you're putting
Oh
them?
they love it, and it just keeps growing. Like I'm running out of space to put things. But it's one of the things is everybody needs a man cave, right? And this is the Purple Palace is my man cave because it's like it has all my um trinkets and stuff like I like to collect and so forth. So all the stuff where I traveled over the world and so forth. The bar concept was when I came back from Germany.
Yeah.
I had brought back a bar that I bought over there,
Hmm.
and it was a corner bar. It was just a little corner bar that comes with a fish tank. So the bar itself was a fish tank. And I decided I was going to make a full bar. It's like when I upgrade this place, I'm going to make it a full bar. So that's how the concept came about. And then I built the bar. And then now whenever we have like football games and stuff, sporting events, this is it. We just sit down here, relax, and just have a good time. I cook, and then we come inside and eat and hang out. And it's just a nice place to hang out.
Is this the same place where you are seated today at
Yeah,
the purple?
that's where I am right now. Actually, I could probably show you around. So that's my that's my co-
Wow.
that's my coin collection over there. So one of the things we do in the military is we collect coins. Let me see if I can give you a close up of it. So we collect coins. Collecting coins and patches is a
Oh, that's a lot of coins.
yeah.
Ooh,
And every coin that I have here was given to me by somebody. Um,
amazing.
and then you know even the bathroom is dedicated to my football team. So this is the locker room. I call it the Ravens the locker room. And then here's the bathroom, just so you guys can see.
Look at that wall.
So I did the whole thing myself, painted everything. Um, and I'll show you over here by the bar. So this is the bar. That's the bar that I built.
Ooh. Wait, can
Actually,
I get a close up of the seats? The seats.
so
What is
yeah.
going on?
So me and Lynn made these.
Nice.
Yeah, we wrapped these. We got the fabric with the logo for the team, and me and Lynn rewrapped these. I'll show you the bar. Um, so this is the back side of the bar. So this was the original, the Purple Palace sign right there. All
Ah,
right.
yes. So you took the picture. Nice.
So the original bar was this. This is the fish tank. So this used to be a corner bar. So you see, it's a bar with a fish tank in it until I built the full bar. Um, and then I just kind of kept building. And then over here is my other logo, my
Look at those.
recliners.
Look at those seats.
And then over here is my video games for anybody that wants to play video games.
Wow.
So like I said, whenever they try to beat my high score, I just unplug it so they can't beat my high score. I tell my friends, don't come over here and try to beat my high score.
It's the color scheme for me. It's all the simple things, the details and the loyalty to your team that is going on in that particular space. Is the Purple Palace out of bounds for everybody else in the family, considering it
Oh
is
no, they can come down here, but they generally don't.
oh yeah, because they know it's like
It's like
that
my
is
space. Yeah. Yeah, it's like my
wow.
space.
I totally agree with Masha T is saying that you need to build a cottage next to the pond. We are coming to visit.
Oh, I just oh, you got to watch the video. I just built Lena She Said, but the,
Uh,
the pa-
yeah,
the palace is her space too, because she comes down and hangs out with me down here during football season and watches football games. So
I love
yeah,
that.
so
I know it's very beautiful just thinking of this creativity. What inspires, like for me, I like how the tiki bar, for example, has become like a very nice it has become like a very nice like Saturday show.
mhm,
Just that space you guys do in your live streams and you call it the tiki bar chat. I
mhm.
think it, I think it's amazing creativity just around how you curate that. And of course, now if you are to like you are hosting the Sunday service and you're right at the Purple Palace, very creative names. Very creative names. Did you ever envision this as part of your content creation journey, or how did these ideas just strike you and you're like, oh, we could call this the Tiki Bar and we are going to have like a show here every Saturday? Um, like how do you just randomly think come up with all these amazing names that have become shows in their own right?
So it goes back to just little phrases that you like. For example, what's on the shirt, right? So I give
Somebody's
you the
in trouble. Yes, this is
I
the,
give you
I first saw this on your channel
right,
on the
and I actually have it's patented too, so I got the patent for it. Um,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So if somebody uses it, you owe me royalties. Just letting you know. Um, so so where it came from was when I was still in the military. I used to post on Facebook whenever I'm in uniform, because
Mm.
a lot of times when people came to see me, they were in some form of trouble. Not all the time, but a lot of time. So I would always post it on Facebook, and I would just put somebody's in trouble in the comment section. That's the only thing I would say, and people would
Yeah.
be like, "Who's in trouble now?" And that's where the whole phrase. So all my military troops know about my phrase, about somebody's in trouble. So I would just make a serious face, and I just type somebody's in trouble, and people were like, "Okay, who's in trouble right now?" And I was like, "It could be you." So at some point, someone was like, just like YouTube, somebody was like, "Hey, you should make a T-shirt with that." So I was like, "All right, cool." Um, and that's kind of segues into me doing YouTube.
Mm.
So the reason why I even started YouTube was, like I said, I'm funny. My older brother, he was like, "You're always cooking and you're always doing this stuff. Why don't you put it on YouTube?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a very private person. I don't really,
Yeah, then
but
should stop.
yeah, and I'm like, because believe it or not, like I said, one of the things about me, I was not good at standing in front of a crowd, right? Even though it was requirement for my job as a senior leader, which I had to stand in front of thousands of people sometime and do speeches.
Mhm.
And I still had that shyness in me, right? And I said, well, so I started watching. I have a friend that owns a Jamaican restaurant in Florida, and I was there one weekend hanging out with him, and he had uh, a YouTuber on there that what's his name? Oh, Yard Life is Good. So big up yourself. Yard Life is Good. You started me out on this journey, but Yard Life is Good. He's a Jamaican YouTuber that goes out and he just goes to different restaurants and sample the food. That's his thing. He just goes out and then he highlights different Jamaican restaurants, and he'll talk about their food, and it's not just restaurants but like street food and all these different cultural places in Jamaica that a lot of people don't know about, except for like that local community to that area, right? So he would
Is it
highlight all these different places. Yes, that's him right there.
okay?
Um, so he would go out and just visit these different places and highlight their food, and I was like, man. So that's when I was like, you know what? I won't do that, but I will cook my food and show my food, you know.
Yeah.
And started thinking about, all right, how am I going to build this channel? What is it about? And I didn't want to limit myself to just cooking. I wanted to showcase other things that I like to do. and it was more of an outlet for me, right? So like I said, not having the military anymore and all that stuff, it was like, okay, I got another outlet. So I started out with just a few short videos, and then as time progressed, I got, like I said, I don't do anything halfway. I go all in when I do something, no matter what it is, right? So I said, all right, what kind of name should I even use? And I said, well, okay, this is a chronicle of my life, and you know, I said, let me do Winstone's Chronicles. Um, so Winstone is actually my first name. It's Winston, but the difference is people used to call me Winstone. Some people say, is your name Winston or is it Winstone? And I said, whatever you want to call it. All right. As long as you keep the E on my first name, right? I was like, it's actually Winston. So most people would call me Stone, and that's where my nickname came from. Is most of my co-workers and stuff call me Stone. And so that's where I separated the Win from the Stone. Um, and I was like, well, this is a chronicle of my life, so I'm just gonna use Chronicles. And then when I tried to figure out what my journey was going to be about, I said, well, I love to travel, I love to cook, and I like to build stuff, and that's where that whole concept came from of what my channel was going to be about. Um, as I started to get into YouTube, I realized that a lot of people like my DIYs, you know. Some people like my travel, but what I realized was people like my cooking the most, you know. And that's where I
Food
was getting,
film.
yeah, food for them. So that's why I was like, people was getting, that's where I was getting most of my views from, was from the cooking, which is one of my biggest passion anyway. So I said, you know what? It didn't matter what I was doing, what video I was making, I was going to incorporate some of my cooking in there, you know. And that's where you see it didn't matter if I was gardening, if I was building, whatever it was, I'm cooking. I'm gonna be cooking. You're gonna, I'm gonna torture somebody with some food, So
Yeah.
that, that's the concept of how I came into it. And then as far as the Tiki Bar chat goes, was your original question. Um, I found that we had a platform where we could incorporate a lot of YouTubers into to kind of link up. So I got that concept from actually Jamaica Shore Fishing, Jerry. If you've been on his channel. So
Yes.
Jerry,
Connection.
Jerry has his Wednesday Night Lives, and Jerry, one of his things was just to link up people with other YouTubers and kind of form a community, And I was like, well, we could have a concept where we just discuss any and everything, every day, from something everyday life to just having fun. And that was the concept of it, being respectful for each other, at the same time having a good conversation, a serious conversation, and still having fun doing it without being disrespectful, and actually respecting each other's opinions. That's probably the most important concept of the Tiki Bar, is that we can agree to disagree, right? We don't have to agree with each other, but we have an understanding of how we feel, why we feel on a particular topic.
I love that, and it's very. I've been I think to quite a number of sessions since I got to. I met you through Simone, and I like how laid back it is. I like how casual things are discussed. They are fun. There's a lot of laughter as well, and I think it's an amazing space. I also love how Miss Lee normally drops in some nice gems, and I think the other day she was just talking about post-military kind of
Mhm.
life, and sometimes I love listening to her perspective, because I think that's where you get to hear more, more of a voice. I think
Yes, yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah.
channel. Special was asking about the black snake in the shed. We wanted to find out what is the drama around the snakes in the shed, because Mashati is already packing her bags, coming to live in your compound because of a pond. And now we are being told about snakes.
No, I don't like snakes, but I do have a snake in the yard. Well, more than one snake. I just found another one yesterday. But they there are different types of snakes here, and there's one, it's
Wait,
called
you're actually talking about Winston?
a
You're
real
serious?
snake. Yeah.
I thought it was a joke.
No.
I never take special seriously until she's serious.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of shorts on it, but there's they call them black racers or rat snakes. And as much as I don't like snakes, they're actually good for the environment because they keep the
The
rodents
rodent.
away. Yeah, they keep the rodents away. So yeah, I've had some running with some snakes in the yard. I actually just had a running. I found one in the garage yesterday or the day before yesterday, and he was stuck on one of my mouse traps. So yeah, yeah,
Guys, I love how people have these yards, how they always speak. They even give the rodents and all these things, all these animals personalities. Like, got stuck in one of my mouse traps. Yeah, the guy got a couple of snakes. It's not a problem. Like, yeah, we kind of coexist, and they're good for the environment.
yeah, yeah. As much as I don't like them, yeah, yeah, they're still good for the environment. Like they don't mess with me, I don't mess with them. That's the way I see it. I stay out of their way, they stay out of my way. I actually ran into one going into my shed, and actually I was going into the shed. He was coming out, and then he turned around and went back in the shed. So I closed the door, and I'm like, "It's your shed now. It's your shed. Until
It's
you
like, hi,
leave, it's your shed."
it's like, hi, snake. How you
Yeah,
doing?
yep.
Yeah,
It's
take
your
care of
shed
yourself.
now. Yep, yep. Then he finally left. But yeah, I don't mess around with snakes.
Even Anake Thompson says, "You are so calm talking about snake." I know that's why he's like, that's what I'm saying. He's like, "Hi snake, how you doing? Go back to your shed."
Oh,
He's like,
Lynn will not come. Look, even when I sent her the picture of the snake, she didn't like that either. So she don't mess around
yeah,
with them.
yeah. I'm like, yeah, right. So that was a good commercial break. Winston, one of the things that is also very explicit on your channel is the branding, and you see it in things like this. Let me see. Let me see if I can go back. It's not just the T-shirt you're wearing, but
Hmm.
look at your. I think I noticed your apron, and it has certain writings. I looked at Lynn's T-shirt as well.
Hmm.
When Lynn is about to sample the food.
Sample the food, yeah.
So, guy, I cook as good as I look. Uh, and then look at Lynn's T-shirt sample time. She's always having this T-shirt when she's coming to taste the food, and I think it's very deliberate of you. There's also another T-shirt I think that you have, that you're a human. It's called like you're a human service something.
Oh,
So
my service shirt, yeah.
yeah, your service
Service,
shirt.
it's a service human, yeah. Don't
Yeah,
pet,
that
do
one.
not pet,
There
yeah.
we go. This one. This is also another one. A service human emotional support. Yeah, the creativity around these t-shirts. Do you make this on your own? Talk to us about this, and what inspires this kind of branding, because I totally love it, and I think it's a great benchmarking thing for content creators who are watching you right now.
So the funny thing about that is, I actually, I am known for wearing some funny T-shirts, right? I'm known for wearing, like, all my friends that know me, because it's always a conversation piece, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I wear a lot of funny T-shirts when I go places, and if I think it's a conversation piece as far as branding goes, I will
Mm.
make it. So, like, I have a shirt that I was wearing in one of my videos that said, "I just rescued a beer. It was trapped in a bottle."
Yeah, I saw that. I've seen
So
that
little
with
things
people.
like that. And it's a conversation piece, because when I go places, people will see it. I was like, "Oh my God, I love your shirt." Um, and it's always a conversation piece to kind of interact with people, you know. People be like, who's in trouble, and I'm like, it might be you. It's just so that part of it. It's more of a conversation piece more than anything else.
Yeah.
More lately, like I said, like this particular phrase, I got it patented. So for anyone that, if you're building a brand, and for example, like Color Smith has his brand that says "Isa, take your time," stuff like that. If you're really serious about, I see a lot of people that have products on YouTube
Mm.
for sale, but it's probably not patented. So at least at some point somebody can just use your brand. So if
True.
you're really serious about, and I think people, as people watch your channel, they get used to certain phrases, right? Sample
Yes.
time, sample time, food for them, like people start to get used to that kind of stuff. So as you're building, if you're really and truly trying to build a brand, you have to have something that people resonate with, right? And that's, at some point, when I'm doing my for example, my videos, and I'm doing a premiere, I have people in advance, when it gets close to sample time, start typing in sample time on my thing, because they know that's coming next, or food for them, they know that's something I'm gonna say. So I feel like that as a content creator that resonates, you have to have something. Everybody has something that resonates with their audience, you know. And once you start understanding your audience, and your audience is continuously watching your videos, they will resonate with certain. Yeah, there you go, okra for them. See that? so, you
I
gotta
have to
get
do
you
it.
gotta get that shirt, Goga. You gotta get
I'm
that
gonna
shirt.
get it. I'm gonna get it. You've given me an idea. I'll get it, and then that's what I'll be appearing when David Ant is coming on the panel. I'll be doing those kind of things.
you know so that's what I like about it. Like I said, it just came from me wearing, to this day. And it's funny, where I found them is just, I'm just scrolling through Instagram and YouTube and all these different, mostly Instagram and Facebook. I will be scrolling through, and I see a shirt that I like, and I'll buy it, and I'm like, okay, that's my next. And people have always like, dude, you wear some of the craziest shirts, but it's more about bringing fun to people, bringing enjoyment to people, because they see the shirt and they're like, oh, that's funny, and then it becomes a conversation piece, like. And it doesn't matter who the person is, old, young, black, white, whatever. People see this,
Yes.
they see the shirt, and they're like, that's pretty cool, I like that shirt, and it gives them a conversation, And same thing with my hats. I'll have hats that say, some crazy stuff on there. I have one that says "Grumpy Old Vet," and people, you know, if I'm on a flight, people is like, "I love that hat," So it's more of a conversation piece to interact with people, and you never know who you're gonna meet, you know.
Facts. All right. For me, I love the branding, and I think it's a great, especially it's a great idea, especially for the merchandise, and
Mm-hmm.
it's, yeah, especially looking into that angle of merchandise. Red says Winston's hats are the best. Winston's hats are the best, 100%. For me, I was just like, I like the t-shirts, because I'm always like, okay, there's a message on this t-shirt. Let me read. So I even post just to, like, see what is on that particular t-shirt, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Another thing we can talk about in terms of just the channel is your channel is almost at 60,000 subscribers. Winston, what happened? What video shocked you and shook the channel? Because I'm sure you're just trying to make your content there, minding your business, and then boom, one video. Your most popular video on YouTube is a video you uploaded only 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have a thing. The algorithm loves you. The algorithm loves your videos. And I was trying to do like my own analysis of the most popular videos on your channel. There's something about those videos, and they are 1 hour long, and they have thousands of views, but people still made an effort to subscribe to those the channel.
Mm-hmm.
What was that big break? Like, when was that day that the channel was, there's a lady who was seated where you're seated at a Sunday service, and her channel got to like 100,000 subscribers, and she said at some point she was getting a heart attack, because her channel was like a meter, a count. It was just going
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6 until it reached 100,000 subscribers. So what happened to your channel? What was that video? What was going through your mind? Did you expect it? You know, you celebrated like thousands of milestones within a short time. Like in February, you are like at less than 10,000. In April, you are like at 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to the channel?
So it's I think that one of the first ones that I got a lot of views from was when I did a this massive cookout for my one of my friends' retirement. Um, I think that was the first one I got over like 20K or something like that from views. And actually, that was kind of the turning point, where I was like, you know what, I need to put more of my cooking into my channels, or
Yeah.
my videos. Not even though I have, like, if I'm traveling, of course I can't cook, but there's gonna be some kind of food in it, because everybody knows I'm a foodie. I love
Yeah.
food. So at some point, I would say, everybody is building their channel, trying to figure out what they do best. Um, and at some point, they always say find your niche and stick with it, right? That's always the term. Um, that's the one. The cooking for 300 alone was probably one of my first ones. The 49K right there.
Or 1 year ago, this one. And now it's,
Yeah.
yeah, nice one. Yeah.
Yep. That was the one that really and truly was the highest one I had. And like I said, it's you have to stay consistent um, in what you do, but also try to think outside the box and do more. Right? If you notice, I am consistently trying to do something different each time. Right? Because I watch a lot of YouTube channels as well. I support a lot of YouTube channels as well. But it's almost like you're seeing the exact same thing every week. It's like every time you go on, even though, again, I still watch it, even though I know what I'm going to get, right? Because, but at the same time, for me, it's more about, again, cooking is my passion. I can do, I mean, there's no limit to the amount of things I could cook in my backyard, and I feel like if people are enjoying that, they'll continuously come back. Because even some of my DIY videos, they're like, okay, when is the cooking starting? People they're like, yeah, I understand you're on the range and you're shooting, but where's the cooking? When does the cooking start? So it's just about,
and she has a T-shirt for sampling. So
yeah. So it's like, people are starting to get used to my channel. And like I said, and you have said it on a lot of times, because I watch a lot of you're very versatile in YouTube operations, that you want to build your channel organically, right? I have heard that so many times. Like, it's good to have other YouTubers on your channel,
yeah,
as far as a community, but as far as your people that watch your videos all the time, you want to build it organically, where people just love your channel for your channel. They're not YouTubers that have all this time, because they got to do their channel too. They got to do their videos and stuff. I try to make it a point, when you were doing the what was it? Watch five videos
a day.
5 a day. Yeah, I try to make it a point to even just go over to a lot of the channels. So a lot of times I don't leave a comment, but I will still go. And if it's even just putting it on the, I'll watch the first video and leave it on the loop. And if they have a loop that's continuous, I'll just let it run. I'll come down here. I'll come down here to the cave and just let it run. So my subscriber, or the channels that I subscribe to that are YouTubers, get some views. So not all the time you might see me comment on everybody's channel, but I'm definitely watching, and I make an effort to watch. And I think there's a lot of people within our community that comes out and watches my lives and always tunes in, and we definitely appreciate that. But at the same time, I still love my audience that is just here for the food, the torture.
I like that. And Mashati is already demanding for, we want a challenge cook-off and neutral judges to decide which dishes are the winner.
Whenever you're ready. As a matter of fact, well, don't steal Marsha, stop. Don't steal my ideas. I got some plans for that already, so I'm not going to tell you yet.
The content creator in him is just like, wait, that is an idea.
You know what's crazy? It's when you have an idea.
Yes.
And you turn on somebody's channel and they're already doing it, and you're like, man, I was just about to do that. and then you don't want to do it no more,
No, but I always tell people to do it, because they will never do it the way you do it.
The same
you can
way,
actually go and execute the same idea, but it will always be different, because you will give it the Winston touch, which they don't have, because the Winston touch will always be different in any sense. Because I was having that argument with somebody last year, because they were saying that, oh, somebody's copying my niche, and I'm like, no, there's nobody can copy your niche, because at the end of the day, it is you. You're not going to execute that idea the same way as Red Room will execute the same idea, because you are all different. You will
Mm-hmm.
always bring your personality into it, and it will now make it. And maybe yours will stand out even more than the others. And that's why we have everybody doing all these things, but some are doing better than others. Some are struggling. Yet it's the
But
same thing.
you know what I learned, and
Yeah.
I will just give this as some advice to folks. Don't look for content because you already have it, right?
Yeah.
Don't like when you start looking for content to do, that's where you're gonna start struggling, you know, because the content is there. It's just for you to put it together. Like if you're sharing your daily life, it's there, right?
Yep.
It is there. When you start, because people can tell when it's not natural, right? People can tell when you're being scripted. Because when I just started doing YouTube, I realized
Yeah.
like I was looking at like I think it was I can't remember the name of the app that I was using for my as my editor. I can't remember the name
Mm.
of the app, but you know, with these apps, you can just go in there and put in a suggestion, and it spits out a script.
Yes.
You
Yep.
know, they can spit out a script, and I was using it a couple of times, and I'm like, it doesn't feel natural because then you have to study the script and you have to follow it. So you can use it as a guide as to what you want to build for your content. So I would suggest using it as just a guide, but don't follow the script to the
Mm.
script. You know, just use it as a guide for an idea that you're trying to do, and then just be natural. You know, like I said, over time, um, you get more confident in being in front of a camera and just being your natural self, right? People will gravitate to that.
Absolutely. I think that's very good advice, and I think somebody Rezum just said it there. You know, people love authenticity. 100%. You use it as a guide, and of course, your authentic self will always come out, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what people are drawn to. Rezum says, sorry, Hadri says, I can listen to Winston all afternoon. Yeah, by all means, thank you. That is good for watch hours,
I
and also
appreciate it.
Winston, when I look at your views, the channel is doing very well in terms of the content direction. A question that some YouTubers there don't want to ask you: what is the revenue like, especially when your videos getting over 80,000 views? Are you get you know like what does the revenue stream look like on your side in terms of, because people dream of these views. Guys, are you seeing those videos? The latest one, the most popular, the latest one that was 2 weeks ago, it has 87,000. There's one that just had 86,000 randomly. There's one 4 weeks ago that had 81,000. And notice the duration of the videos. Winston, one thing I like about your videos is how it's 1 hour. You post it there and you moved on to the next one. Those are what you call long videos. And
Mm-hmm.
if a long video has these thousands of views, and you're a monetized channel, people already trying to calculate your revenue instantly in their head. 1,000 views is equals to about $2. So if 80,000 views will be like, somebody can already do a calculation.
It
But
doesn't work that way.
exactly. So
It
yeah.
does.
What does the revenue look like at this level?
It honestly, I think it varies depending on where you are. It also varies depending on if people actually watch the ads. I think
Yeah.
that's the most important. Well, two things, and I know you know this. If
Yeah.
you're a if you're a premium subscriber to YouTube
Yes.
and
No ads.
you watch somebody's video, you don't get ads, but
Yeah.
that person actually automatically gets revenue because you're a premium
Premium YouTube.
subscriber. If
Yeah.
you're not a premium subscriber, then that person has to watch your ads all the way through. I can tell you personally, I I skip through ads all the time. Now I'm a premium subscriber, so I don't even get the ads, right? But
Yeah.
if I wasn't previously before I got the YouTube premium, I would as soon as I see an ad, I would skip through it. So just because you're getting all the views, if the people don't watch the ads all the way through,
Yes.
you're not gonna get the revenue, right? So and if you're enjoying the food and it's at a good point in the video, and the ad jumps up, and you're like, oh my god, and you click it because you don't want to watch. You want to stick
Yeah,
with the video, right?
yeah, and you need to focus on the okra. Yeah.
Right, exactly, right. So, so that's the thing people have to understand is that even though you tell people to watch the ads, most people don't want to watch the ads unless they just. There are some ads that you can't get out of. I can't remember what they call that type of ad. I was just looking at it the other day, but there are some ads that you have to watch all the way through. But there's not many of those that's
Yeah,
attached to what,
and they're usually very short. The
and they're very
non-skip
short,
ads.
right?
Yeah, the non-skip ads. Yeah.
So revenue wise, I can tell you this: I have not made not quarter the money that I have spent on YouTube. But again, there are so many intricacies to YouTube that I'm not even doing yet, right? So I am really delved into it like I really want to, getting the SEO and all the stuff that you can do to really and truly maximize your channel. Because I'm still a new YouTuber. I've only been doing YouTube for a year and a half, so, but there are so many nuances to it, and it changes constantly.
True.
Every day it changes. So, like somebody said, if you're in YouTube to make money, you're in YouTube for the wrong business. You need to do YouTube for you, and then everything else will pick back up later. It's just like a business, right? Not every business is successful when you start out. When you start out a restaurant, you ain't gonna get the floodgates where everybody's coming into your restaurant at one time. You're gonna lose money. That's why most businesses, they're expecting you to lose within the first 5 years of a business. You're going to be at a loss, right? And over time, if you look at the YouTubers that are really making good money off of it, they've been doing YouTube more than 3, 4, 5 years, and they've put in the work, So for me, I know I can do more. I just choose to just enjoy what I'm doing right now, because I don't want YouTube to be a job for me, right? I don't want it to be because it can turn into a job very quickly for the people that are out there.
Very quickly.
Look, it can turn into a job very quickly. And I had gotten to a point where when I just started and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get my views, I'm trying to get monetized. And I was in there just putting in the work like, oh my God, I got to do this. And I'm editing and I'm doing all this other stuff. And then I realized, I was like, okay, this is a job. I'm like, and you have to remember, even before you get monetized, YouTube is already putting ads in your videos.
100%.
Yeah, long before you get monetized, YouTube is already making money off your videos anyway. So again, yes, anybody can pick up a phone, or these days you don't even need a GoPro or whatever. You just need a phone, right? But it's more than just a phone. It's about I tell people all the time, if this is what you want to make a future of, or make some money on the side or whatever, you gotta look at it as a business and do what you would do if you owned a business, right? You're not gonna own a restaurant and just, okay, I'm just gonna sell beef patties, and you got all this space. You gotta pay rent, so you gotta put something more than just beef patties in the thing, right? And you're gonna advertise, and you're gonna what they say, you gotta spend money to make money, right?
100%.
Now you can be lucky enough to go viral on a video and make a good money off it. But remember, when you go viral, that's what your audience is going to expect.
True.
For the rest of the time that you're doing YouTube, once you go viral, guess what? They're going to want to see that again. And if you're not doing that, guess what? They're gonna go somewhere else.
100%. And I like that point, because there's always like a lot of we all dream of going viral, but one of the things that I've always, and I remember I picked this from one of my mentors on YouTube, and I remember he said, are you ready with the pressure that comes with going viral? Because in case you wake up tomorrow and you're like at 1 million subscribers, Goga, are you able to sustain 1 million subscribers with content back to back? Mm-hmm. It was one of those things like, pin drop silence. And I was like, no, I don't do YouTube like that. Like, I don't think I'll be ready unless I maybe stopped working or something like that, because I have other things that I do that are more important of YouTube itself. So I'm glad that you really pointed that out. And yeah, guys, if you have not yet connected to Winston, there's a link that is pinned on top of my chat. It will throw you directly to his live stream. We are multi-streaming both in Maryland and in Kenya. So in case you're not connected to Winston, click on that link on top of my chat so that you can go drop him a nice blue heart there. You can go write a compliment there. You will find some crazy lady there on that chat, but she will welcome you. She's amazing. One of the police on Winston's chat is there, but she will welcome you very nicely. But just make sure she does not take your phone. Anyway, just kidding. So yeah, do make sure that you check out that. And then I like what Johnny Small Pepper is saying. Johnny Small Pepper is saying day 2 after viral, 40,000 subscribers and 100 views. That's
Yeah.
also a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also a possibility.
And it's like you said, can you sustain it once you get it? I've actually seen, there was a YouTuber, I can't remember his name. He had over 1 million subscribers, and he basically just quit. He's like, look, I gotta go spend time with my family because I'm spending too much time on YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good opportunity, but as they say, be careful what you ask for, because understand that you're gonna, you know, Mr. Beast has a staff that he can pay to create content for him, you know, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. You're looking at, I always say, people see where you are now, they don't know how you got there. You know, they didn't see you when you were struggling, and he's got videos of how long it took him to get to where he is. So now he's got a staff to take care of that for him, that just all they do is just look for content to create for him, right? So he can afford to do it. But can you sustain that? Can you get all the equipment that you need and all this other stuff, and basically give up your life? Because that's what you're gonna have to do. If YouTube wasn't paying your bills, and then you're gonna have to give up your life to maintain that status, and then it can crash in like just like you went up. It's the same way you can go down, you know.
Absolutely.
And what are you gonna do then? You don't give up your job. Now you're living a better lifestyle. You got all these bills. Be careful what you ask for.
That said, I'm really crossing fingers you get your. I see it happening before the year ends. I predict you're going to get your silver button before the year ends, because I think it is showing your content. The beauty with your content when somebody watches it is actually. And I was telling you, that's why I was making fun of David Dant, because when he was making jokes about okra last week, I was like, I actually watched Winston's video because I was so invested in how you are cooking that even I did not know that you're going to make okra. You are going to throw in okra in there. So I think I just saw you preparing the fish. Let me tell you, the moment I saw okra, I was like, okay, now I have to like sit down properly.
Yeah.
Because of David. But because of David, of course, I had an intention. I needed to make David's life a bit hard. But David, okra finyam. Winston, let's talk about gear. Like, what is the investment you put on your channel in terms of not just devices and gadgets, but also just the time? Because you're also busy. You do have a job that you have to attend to. You do have other competing interests. You love traveling. I have seen it in a lot of the pictures there with Mrs. Mama Lynn. So this calls for like a lot of time. Even sometimes you normally update us on your community that, hey, guys, I'm traveling. We're not going to have the tiki bar chat today. What is the investment that goes into you creating content, not just in terms of devices, the internet, editing software? Talk to us about the investment for a video to pop on our screens by Winston's Chronicles.
So, well, a lot of it is a mixture of equipment. Like I'm a gadget person, so if I see something that's gonna make my life easier, and if you watch my videos, I always talk about it. I like to work smarter, not harder. So if I find something that I think is gonna make the content better, I'll get it. So for example, GoPro, or a drone or something like that. Like I haven't used my drone in a while because I really haven't had a content that I could use.
Did you just like randomly say you have a drone?
So the thing about it is, like I said, for me, everything I do to 100%, right? Again, not everybody can, and again, It's not like I just like, all right, I'm gonna go buy a drone. No, there's ways to do it. I do it over time, right? I do it over time.
Yeah.
Um, but it was more the fun of it than the because I tell people all the time, I always think about the differences in locations where you are, right? Like not everybody in Jamaica can just go buy a drone, right? Or, you know,
True.
so it just depends on one your monetary situation, um, and then as I'm gonna say, if you're looking at it as something long term, because I'm looking at it long term, so I'm investing in it for the long term. Like, where do you see yourself in YouTube 10 years from now? Are you even gonna be a content creator because you're so burnt out and doing all this other crazy stuff, right? So
Yeah.
you have to know that technology is going to get better. You're going to probably have to upgrade to a newer version of whatever device that you have now, because now it's, instead of 4K, it's 8K, all this other stuff, you know? So I try to stay on the forefront of what's out there. I don't buy everything. If I have something that's working very well, I will stick with it. So most times I'm using my GoPro on my iPhone. Like just recently, and I look at other people's channels and how they go about doing certain things, right? So like Clark's Legacy was one of the guys. I just saw him. He had a little necklace GoPro attachment, right?
Mm.
Where you can just, you just wear it around your neck like a necklace. And I had never seen that before. And I'm a big Amazon person, so if I see something I like, I'm buying it right away. I don't wait. Like if I see something that I like and I can get it, I'm going to get it right away. So it's just, again, what's financially what you can afford, um, and then is it going to help you? Is it worth it, and is it going to help your channel based on what you're trying to build? You know.
Mm.
So like I said, the amount of money if I was like legitimately going to spend money on YouTube, I'm doing it for the fun of it, right? For me, YouTube is fun for me. If I was really like doing YouTube as a business, I probably would have spent 3 times as much as I've spent prior to now, you know? So it's more about just me, one, keeping up with technology, and then being able to give good content and still stay within my means, you know? So I'm not gonna go out there and buy some outlandish piece of equipment, you know, camera, you know, like I got lighting and all this other crazy stuff going. I know, because I'm right now, what I have is enough to offer my audience what they need, you know.
That's
You
good.
know. And so you have to think about it. Like I said, you think if you're gonna really and truly get into YouTube the way you can, and you're thinking about making money on the back end, well, think about how much money you're gonna have to put into it and how much money you're gonna get out of it. Because trust me, I have not made. I will tell you this: I've only made $310 from YouTube.
Wait,
So
what?
three
Wait, did
hundred and ten dollars.
you mean 310 or 310,000?
No, $310. And again, that has to do with a lot of the things that I haven't done on YouTube. Like I said, just recently, I really started to go in. I found out that if you have your thing set to automatic, YouTube will put like 1,000 ads into your video, right? And
Mm.
nobody wants to sit there and watch a video where every 5 seconds you're getting an ad, right? So you physically have to go in there and move the ads around to where, and then you're going to limit the amount of ads they can see too. So
Yes, because you get totally to interrupt the
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I can, and it's different everywhere. So like I said, I haven't scratched the surface of what I can do with YouTube, because here in the States, you can partner with different companies and just make money off
Mm.
advertising for them, you know. Where in Jamaica, I don't think they get the opportunity to do that, to where you can partner with a US business and say, all right, I went to Sam's Club and I got, this is from Sam's Club, and you get a 10%, you know what I'm saying? So I could
Yeah.
actually, I could legitimately make some good money off of it. It's just, right now, that's not my mindset. My mindset right now is just to build a channel, because the funds will come, the money will come, you know. Once I retire from this job and this is my only focus, then I might do some more. I'm just gonna keep building it over the years, because I feel like 5 year is my short-term goal. 5 years, in 5 years, I should be, somewhere over 100,000. And, you know, I have followers that are going to just come back just for my content. You know, that's what I'm looking for. Is I'm looking for. I look at a lot of the bigger channels and the followers. Like I have content that I follow. Like yours, there's content that I look forward to. You know, there's some that I follow just because there's nothing else to watch on TV. But then there's some that you understand what I'm saying? And I'm just being honest. Like there's some times where I'm just looking at, I'm going through YouTube, and I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen this video yet. But there's some people, like I'll give you, like Junior Lifestyle of Fishing. Like I look forward to his videos every week. Like I'm like unhinged like a little kid. Like, all right, when is he dropping his next video? You know. And there's a few channels out there like that. You know, now Red's being one of those people. Special K, like, so there's a set of people that, and I think we all have that. We all have people that we watch consistently. Not that we're trying to avoid the other people, right? But it's just, yeah, you got to spread your time out, right? And it's just a matter of it's kind of funny. I was telling me and Linda used to always ask me why I watch this channel. There's a guy that has a channel. It's called 4 Hours of Fishing, right? It's literally the video is literally 4 hours, right? The dude is sitting on a kayak. He does not catch any fish for the 4 hours. and he's got over 100,000 subscribers, but he just sits there and talks about life. And it's like, and I find myself some late nights sitting there watching 4 hours of fishing with no fish being caught, you know. But people like what they like, and that's what it boils down to, you know.
No fish after 4 hours, but yeah, we are still here.
Yeah, we're still here. 4 hours, no fish, and he just talks about everyday trials and tribulations of life. But like I said, I learned that people like what they like on YouTube. People like what they want to watch, and you shouldn't change your content because you're trying to match what someone else is doing. Do what you like, and as long as you're doing what you like, and people subscribe to it, they're gonna keep coming back. That's it.
100%. Gina, I see you there on the chat. Gina, of all the things you can notice, Gina just said, "Wow, Winston, I love the purple background." Gina loves purple like crazy. Like it's her favorite color. She has purple suitcases. She has purple t-shirts. So I think that's the first thing she noticed when she just like, "Wow, Winston's purple background is giving." Yeah. So yeah. So I think I like that. I like that, guys. I hope you are taking notes because Winston has been dropping like amazing lines for the last 3 hours we've been sitting here. I mean, time flies so fast, but don't worry, guys. Yeah, time flies so fast. I can't even believe it's already been 3 hours. Would you say how you approach your content creation, just organization? Would you say there's some elements of your, having spent time in the military for like 25 years? Do you normally find some elements of precision, even organization, when it comes to your content?
I am so disorganized when it comes to my content. The organization actually comes at the end of like when I go into editing, because like I said, sometimes, like for example, I will start a video and then I go type it into my search to say, okay, this is what I want to talk about, and it spits me out a script, and I look at it and I was like, man, I should have said that in the first video. You know, I could have used this before I started the video, right? So remember I said earlier to use that as a guide, not a word for word, right? So you can go into whatever app you use and say, okay, oh, what's it? vidIQ? vidIQ is one of them. Yes. So you can go in and you can type in what kind of content you want to do, and it'll give you ideas, and it'll give you a script, and it'll give you stuff to research. And that's another thing. If you're going to talk about something that can be fact checked, please do your research. So don't don't just come on and just, because people are going to fact check you. People are going, and then you're going to say they're trolling you, but they're not. Because if you're gonna put out something that is supposed to be factual, make sure you do your research And because people are gonna check it. Like it doesn't take nothing for somebody to just be like Google it. You're like, you know, um,
And, and and I love them. And people will call you out on it because there's a comment
oh
section.
yeah, oh yeah,
They will
they're
they
gonna
will
call you
see you
out
in the
on it.
comment section. Yeah,
And you can't be mad if you didn't do your research, you know,
absolutely.
because you're putting out bad information. You know, so at the end of the day, like I said, it's a business. You got to think of it as a business, and you have to understand about being a you're in the public's eye. And people are gonna people have nothing better to do than fact check you. I mean, if they're fact checking the president of the United States, why you think you better than getting fact checked, right? So be
Absolutely.
honest. Yeah, be honest. Be genuine, you know, and do your research. Do your research, think about the content that you want to put out there, and then understand that somebody's not gonna like it. You know, somebody's gonna say something crazy to you. Because I always read the comment. Every video I look at, I always read the comment section. That's probably one of the most
Me,
profound thing I
me
see.
too, I come in the comments.
Oh my God, I read the
I love
comment section,
comments.
and some of the things people say sometimes, and you're like, did you even watch the video? You know, you're like, that has nothing to do with what's going on in the video. You know, but there are people that are out there that, you know, I see a lot of people that have gotten frustrated because certain people say some things in their comment section. Look,
Mm.
brush it off and keep rolling. You're gonna have people are gonna say what they want to say just because they have the opportunity to say it, right? You can't be in the public's eye and get hurt feelings. It's just the way it is, right? You see,
Absolutely.
yeah, you see a lot of people get frustrated and try to lash out. And the worst part is if you lash out at your audience, YouTube can shut you down. so, so so they can say what they want to say to you, but you can't say what you want to say to them because you're the content creator, right? It's just like your business. Somebody can walk into your restaurant and cuss you out, but you can't cuss them out because you're gonna lose your job, you know, or you're gonna get some bad reviews, like as you should, right? Because you're in a customer service driven business. As people don't realize, this is customer service. That's, you know, you have to think about it in that aspect that if you go to a restaurant, you don't want the server to talk back to you if you say, I don't like how the food tastes. Even though I wouldn't say that. If I don't like it, I'm leaving because I don't want you to spit in my food, you know. So, but you have to think of it as a customer. It's a customer driven. You know, YouTube is a customer driven platform. You know, so you can't have hurt feelings. Just do what you got to do. Maintain your professionalism, as I always say. That's the military side of me, right? I maintain
Yep.
my professionalism. I don't let people get under my skin because you have to expect it. You have to expect it. And once people get under your skin, that's what they were looking for, and they will ride it till the wheels fall off. You know.
Uh, and I've seen that happen actually on the at 351 Cleveland. Thank you so much for coming in for courtesy of Johnny. I appreciate you stopping by, brother. And I've seen that happen. Like people are just triggering the host, and the host just like
Falls for it. Yeah.
yeah, totally fell for it, and it became like a meltdown. And they
Mm-hmm.
were having fun on the chat. They were literally just, they were just going at it, and I was like, yikes. Yeah, so I totally, I think, resonate with what you say. And I even
Mm.
noticed it on your live stream because there's a time I think you are doing a vertical live stream, and I think somebody was trying to get your attention by being weird. And I mean, you are having the time of your life. You are
I
not
just
even bothered
ignore him.
about. Yeah, you just ignore.
I just ignore him. I just ignore him. That's the one thing. You know, they have a saying, right? They say a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous
Yeah,
words stir up anger, right?
yeah.
And that just essentially means like when people try to get under your skin and you ignore them, they go away and they go back. They go find somebody else that they can
Exactly.
annoy. Yeah,
And nowadays they just need to scroll down and they've moved on.
yeah,
They moved on to the next
yeah.
person.
You just ignore them and move on. They'll move on to somebody else. I've had so many people try to troll me, and when they didn't get the answer they were looking for,
Uh-huh.
they just never came back, you know, because they were looking to get a rise out of me and they didn't get it. So they're like, all right, I'm gonna find somebody else that I can annoy, you know.
Okay,
It's the world we live in.
Guys, I like Winston's perspective on, think of it as customer service, and you can't you're the content creator, you should know better. You are the one who knows the rules. I mean, a typical viewer never knows the things you have to do as a content creator. They don't even know half the things they are saying that are wrong, and YouTube does not encourage them. But you're the
Mhm.
one who's going to take the brunt of that punishment when it comes to it. So I think I like how he really cemented that particular point. Winston, just as we're getting to the cool down section of the Sunday service, one of the as much as you enjoy making content, I know there are aspects of your life that you still prefer just keeping private because it could be the kids. Of course, you don't see the much of them in the content. It could be other aspects of your career. It could be maybe your time with Mama Lynn. Um, how do you balance storytelling, your creativity, and even authenticity while still protecting your peace and privacy? And these are questions Simone asked when you spoke to her.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your answer here at the Sunday service as well.
So, I mean, it. So, like I said, I'm a very private person, but
Mhm.
if, for example, if you notice, I don't show my kids and kids they're adults, but I don't really show my kids because they don't want to be on there, right? Um, I try to incorporate them as much as I can because it's a family atmosphere. But as you know, there are crazy people out there, right? There are untrustworthy people out there. So it's also a part of protecting your family as well. Um, the world is a crazy place, and you have to know what you're comfortable showing about your life, right? Because people can piece together things about your life, you know, based on what you show.
Mm.
If you're willing to give that information, that's fine. Again, like I said, I don't have a situation where I'm worried about anything um coming back to haunt me or bite me or whatever. So for me, it's I keep it within a small realm, right? So like I said, if you notice, I it's food, it's cooked, it's I don't get into nothing
Yeah.
outside of that circle, right? I don't there are people that do reaction videos and all that stuff. I don't go outside of that realm because it's not that I'm afraid of anybody else out there reacting to my videos. I just I'm not a combative person. I don't like to argue with people. So I keep myself out of that realm. I if for you to come at me, and even if you did come at me in some way, I'm not gonna respond to you, right? Because my grandmother used to say word is wind, right? And for me, as long as you're not putting your hands on me, we have no problems. You can say what you want to say, right?
Mm.
That's because I'm not gonna give you a response that you're looking for, and that's what most people are looking for. Is again, there's a lot of people that just troll people's channels and look for a reason to try to draw them out, you know. So for me, it's keeping it within the realm where it took a long time for Lynn to come on the channel. So if you look at a lot of my previous videos, Lynn was never Lynn was never on the channel like that. Lynn is actually a lot more shy than me, but don't get her on her wrong side. She's a beast. That sergeant would come out of her if she gets angry. But Lynn is very quiet as well. So it took a little while for Lynn to even come up on the channel. And then what I realized was people like seeing her around as much as and the relationship that we have and the fun that we have together, and I feel like a lot of people resonate with that as well, you know so I would say little by little I add things, but I still keep it within the realm of just a lot of my privacy, right? So you can see me going to Walmart and what state I live in and so forth. But I feel like there are things that you don't need to put out there outside. You have to figure out within the realm of your content that you're putting out there, how much information you're willing to share, right?
Mm.
And the consequences of that information that you're willing to share that people can or cannot use against you, right? It's like when a police officer pulls you over, you have the right to remain silent, right? Anything that you say can and will be used against you in the court of law, so it's the same. It's the same thing with YouTube. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And remember, it's memorialized, right? That means it's somebody can aside even when you pull it down. If somebody
Yes.
down, if somebody downloaded it before you pulled it down, guess what? They still have it. So it's memorialized somewhere, you know. So again, just be careful of again, one, what you're willing to share with the public, and then the consequences of somebody using it against you to disrespect you or whatever the reason they want to use it for, right? So
Hmm.
you have to be willing to defend whatever you put out there. And again, I feel like if you're just there are certain things you for me, I don't discuss politics. Um, they say don't discuss politics and religion. I feel like religion is not so bad because we can have a sane conversation about religion,
Yeah.
right? We can talk about our experiences about religion and so forth. So even though that's a touchy subject, but again, people those are the two hot topic buttons where people kind of get bent out of shape if they don't agree with you, you know. So you have to be cognizant of, especially like with with the lives, right? Like with the tiki bar, like we have structured conversations, right? But later on at night it gets kind of out of hand, out of wild, but not disrespectful, right? Just fun out of hand, right? And if it gets to a point where I see that it's getting to a point where it's getting disrespectful, then I got to reel it back in, and I gotta,
Of course. Yeah.
or if I need to, I just cut it off. That's the beauty of it. If you feel like it's getting out of hand, and then having moderators is a great way too as well on your, especially if you're doing a lot of live chats, having great moderators that can track those trolls and get them out the building. So again, it's just depending on what yeah, there you go. Never share family and private information, right? Never share information you're not willing to share on a general basis. Yeah, you know, because again, people will use the information against you. All right. So you see a lot of times people don't show the license plate of their vehicles, like all those little things you have to think about when you're making videos, and then when you get into your editing, right? You wanna make sure that you're
Yes.
watching those videos and taking that stuff out that people don't need to see, right? So you still have to be careful because again, there are people out there that have nefarious reasons. So you still have to be careful of the information that you put out there.
I think I love that, and Johnny Smallpepper has captured it very nicely, as you saw earlier. Never share family or private information. You don't know anyone on YouTube without years of trust. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Absolutely.
And then Simone says, "I'm very intentional about what I share. It's funny how sometimes people think that the small percentage of what I share is my whole life. That is it. You're a content creator, guys. You edit things out of content. They will never
Hmm.
yeah, as Winston just said. Winston is also just trying to wrap up the conversation about content creation so that we can get into the closing.
Hmm.
Um, so 50k is quite a huge milestone, and it keeps increasing. What would you say is the one thing that makes you show up every single time you upload a video? Like for me, I like how you record a video for like over 1 hour, and this is going to be content. uh, I want to know who is normally behind the camera, because there are some angles there, Winston. I don't think it was the GoPro trying to figure out where you're going. I think it was either Lean was trying to like help you focus on the food or something. Um, what would you say is that one thing that makes you show up even on the days you feel like, do I have to record this when I could have just done it offline the way I do my projects?
So it's fun you asked that question, right? So two things. When I just started YouTube, I remember one of the guys I was talking to that was doing YouTube for a while. He said to me, he's giving me some tips, and he's saying, you don't want your videos to be more than 30 minutes, because people, their attention span is short and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, so I'm getting like 4 hours worth of content, trying to cut it down to 30 minutes. And I realized, like, okay, they're not gonna get the whole story because it's not long enough, right? So then, and remember, I told you about the 4 hour guy. That was
Yes.
kind of my revelation into making my content where it's because I realize people are going to watch if they like the content. It doesn't matter how long it is. If they have the time to watch it, they will sit down and watch it. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I mean, I'm not going to go extend it out to like 4 or 5 hours or nothing like that. But I feel like if it's good content, I will I will push the limits of what is considered, you know, a long video, and that's where I've been, you know.
And it works.
So most times it's yeah, and it works. And most times, like Lynn will help me. For most of the time, I'm by myself videotaping. Like if I'm in the kitchen, then Lynn will be the one. So one of the things I asked her to do, we fight about this all the time, right? Well, I fuss at her. I ain't gonna say, but so I used to tell her like and she's gotten like exponentially great at it now. Like I see all the comments and people are like compliments to whoever's videotaping. So that's Lynn, right? So I told her, I said, when you're videotaping, don't look at me, look through the lens of the camera, right? I said the lens of the camera is your eyes, because once you start, it's almost like I'm a firearms instructor.
Yeah.
And one of the things they tell you about when you're shooting, don't look over the sights, look through the sights. It's the same thing with a camera. If you look through the lens of the camera, so if this is the camera, this is the camera in front of my eyes. I'm looking through the camera. I'm not looking over the camera to see what you're doing, because that's what people are looking for, right?
Yeah.
People don't realize like videotaping is an art. You know, photography is an art. You know, and if you talk to photographers, they'll tell you they look through the lens of the camera. They don't look through their eyes. You know, so the camera is now an extension of their eye. And think about what people want to see, right? And so if I'm talking about the food, you know, focusing on the food, you know, if I'm showing you something, focusing on that, and then you can pan back out to me. So you know, people just see content and think it's just like that. And it's more to it than that. It's about art, right? Creativity. Like if you put some art and creativity behind what you're doing, you find that people will, like, you're telling a story essentially, right? You don't need to, you might need to add a little bit of music here or whatever you want to do, but think about it from a perspective where you're packaging a product, right? From the wrapping all the way to to when you get inside to the goodness, to all the way till the end. It's a product. It's this good package, right? You know, it's like, what is it? A Klondike bar, you know. You want to get you or a Tootsie Roll, you know, you want to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll, right? So you got to eat it all the way through, from the wrapping that grabs your attention to the meat and potatoes of it, and then what's in the center of a Tootsie Roll. Well, you want to find out what's in the center of a Tootsie Roll, so you're gonna keep licking it till it melts down to the center, right? So that's why you got to think about the content that you're putting out, because a lot of people just, like I said, pick up a camera, take a video, and you know, publish it. You can watch, if you watch a lot of videos, you can tell the videos that some people take time to really edit and you know, put some work in on, and you can tell the ones that's like, I'm gonna get the views anyway, so I'm just gonna throw it up there. And then you see some stuff, you're like, okay, they should have edited that out. And it's kind of funny, me and Lynn were watching a video the other night. It's the first time I can't remember the name of the channel. First time I've seen the channel, but the guy his narration was on point, but the videos didn't correspond with the narration. So the video was awesome. It was like an awesome narration. He had this awesome narrative voice, but like he was just going through a series of photographs, but it didn't match up with he had the right photographs, he just didn't match up with the narration, you know? So that's just you going back through, watching the video, making sure you're not missing anything. It's like a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
And I like how Johnny, you know, Johnny is normally very direct. He says, do what you think is right. Do you be intentional in your content? Crap content is disrespect to
There
viewers.
you go.
The idea content is nonsense.
That's true. I agree. I
Oh,
agree.
yes.
Like I said,
Okay.
even though it's your channel, you gotta people appreciate the fact that you put in the work sometimes. Not
Yes.
everybody, but people are some. I have had comments where people are like, "Dude, that was a really good video." You might not get up all the views you're expecting, but don't diminish your professionalism is what I will say. Keep it professional, and eventually the people will come and they'll appreciate the fact that you took the time out to give them good content. That's it.
I love that. And I always say that it's also important that the views may not be coming now, but I have videos on my channel that I did like 3 years ago. They are gaining traction today. Like,
Yep.
it's fascinating. And, I appreciate the effort I put in those videos back then because
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any regrets in terms of their quality because it's good this video is picking up at this point. I don't need to go and edit anything to hide it and things like that. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a very strong point.
Mm-hmm.
The last part of our conversation is going to be just on your general life philosophy, faith, and gratitude. You often speak of giving thanks and helping those who are less fortunate. I've seen that in action a lot. Where does this sense of gratitude come from, and why is it important for you?
Well, like I said, I've lived a life of service. It's in my DNA. My
Mm.
parents instilled that in me. Um, but I'm an optimist for one, so I always see the glass as half full, never see half empty. Um, I believe the better. I believe in the good, the better side. To every good, there's a bad, right? To every yin, there's a yang.
Yeah.
So I believe in that first. I believe in positivity. I like being around positive people. I don't like I don't use the word hate, but I don't like negativity because, like I said, I'm an optimist, right? As far as part of my service, YouTube has given me a platform where I can reach out to people that I would never normally have the opportunity to reach out. Um, and my goal is to, like I said, we get one rotation, and I want to help as many people as I can within means, right? Um, that being said, yeah, there's a lot of people out there. There's a difference between people that need help, and there's a difference between people that just want something because it's available, right?
Mm.
I'm not gonna just give you something because it's a need and it's a want and not a need, right? So, you know, for me and Lynn, and she has the same mindset because we always discuss who we're going to help, and we look at channels, and for me, it's more a lot of people is I'm from Jamaica, so I know I've been blessed to grow up in the culture. I didn't leave when I was a kid and know nothing about it. I know my entire culture, top to bottom, right?
Mm.
So I know what it's like. Granted, I haven't lived there in 20 plus years, 30 plus years, but that doesn't mean I don't keep up with my culture. I've kept up with my culture. I know the hardships, what it's like to grow up there, what it's like there. I've worked there since I've lived in the States, so I understand. Um, and we watch videos of and see who legitimate or who we think legitimately needs help, and we choose. Okay, this person we're gonna reach out to them and try to help them do this because the goal is to when we help them, they use that opportunity to help somebody else, right?
Paying
Because
it forward.
yeah, you always got to pay it forward. I 100% believe in paying it forward because people, you know, I see a lot of things going on YouTube, not just in Jamaica but all over the world where people get things that are just what's the word I'm looking for? A luxury. It's not something that they need, right?
Mm.
And they'll say, "Oh, well, I'm going to help this other person." Well, why didn't you just give that to that person if you didn't really need it, right? It's just a right? You know what I'm saying? It's just a luxury for you. You
Yeah.
don't really need it. It's just something nice for you to have. But there might be somebody else out there that actually needs that. So don't come out and say, "Oh, I'm here to help somebody." when you have the opportunity to do it and not do it. You know, don't do it just for the views and the likes and all this other stuff. That's the reason why half the time, if you hear somebody say I sent them something, you don't hear about it until they mention it. I don't do a video and be like, all right, look, I got all this stuff. I think I only did that once, and that was in advance of us sending a wheelchair to a guy in Jamaica, and it's something that we had discussed before, and ever since then I've never done that again, right? And usually if I'm helping somebody, I have YouTubers that I link up with, and they'll ask me, hey, do you want me to mention your name? And I said, that's up to you. I don't care either way what you do. If you want to mention my name, that's fine. If not, it's fine too. That's not what it's for. It's about making sure that someone that needs the help gets the help, and that's what it means to me. Like, I love seeing the joy on people's faces when they didn't expect something, and they get it, and it's like, oh my God, I really needed this, and that's one of the things I look up to, is like, okay, I watch, I observe, and I'm like, okay, you know what, I can help this person. And then I figure out a way to reach out to him, and I help him, and that's one of the things I want people to understand. It's like, you have a platform. If one of us helps one person, you know how many people that we can help. But everybody's so in competition. People are so in competition with each other, right? Everybody's like trying to gain content rather than be honest about helping people, right? So you don't like, everybody's like, it's literally like a competition. Like, I'm feeding the homeless. Me too. Me three. And then I'm like, why don't y'all just get together and just do it all together?
Absolutely.
And because it's more like you're looking for the views than you are about helping the person. Because like I said, if you do it genuinely, guess what? The views are gonna come. You ain't got to worry about that. And
it will not even be content.
Right. Yeah. So be honest about it, and that's the other thing. If you're honest about it, I feel like you will get more help, because I look at, like, for example, Kino. I don't know if you've ever been on Kino Life in Jamaica, right? Kino is another YouTuber that I have collaborated with, and he has never called me and asked me for anything. I call him because I watch the videos. I watch his videos. He helps a lot of people around in Jamaica. And I literally watch his videos, and I look and see who I can help, and I reach out to him. I call him. He's never called me, not one time, unless it's for information that I ask him for, but I call him, and I'm like, hey man, I want to help this person. Can I, what do they need? What can I send them? And that's the way I see it. And it's not just him. There's multiple people that I've helped that nobody's heard about, because that's not why I'm doing it for. If I have the opportunity to help somebody, I'm going to help them, but don't take my kindness for weakness either. So, because trust me, I've had some people come up on my platform and demanded some stuff, and I'm like, no, that's not how I operate. That's not how I operate, right? At the end of the day, it's my money. I work for it. I can help who I want to help, right? And like I said, it's more about people that need something, as opposed to somebody that wants something and it's just a luxury for you.
The reason I'm laughing, Win, is because you just said something and somebody is making demands on your chat. Winston, I need a new GoPro. I need a new MacBook Pro. I need a new MacBook Pro. Some Jordans, please. Please. And then he finishes by saying, "Oh, and a bottle of white rum. Look, is this even a priority?" And then he has the audacity to say, please send them express, please."
All right, I'm packing the barrel right now, Red.
Red Room is a mess. Red Room is such a mess.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Anyway.
Ninja Red, Red, Ninja Red.
Red, why are you like this? Why are you like this? Are there any daily, maybe or spiritual habits that help you stay grounded, especially when life is uncertain? just to make sure that also you are working optimally, your mental health is, up top. I know you talked earlier about getting help, and it's important to always get help if necessary. But do you have any other daily practices, routines that help you stay grounded?
Um, Honestly, for me, it's just more about spending time with my family.
Oh, wow.
That's probably the greatest thing for me right now because, like I said, being in the military and my civilian job, I traveled a lot. I traveled a lot. Um, and I realized, like I said, you can't get time back. And just having my family here around me, that's really the most important thing to me in my life. Because even though I wasn't there for the birthdays and the holidays and all this other stuff, I'm here now. And like I said, it's more about making the memories now more than anything else that I didn't get to make. Because again, you can't make up for time, but you can make
Mm,
new memories. You know, for years we couldn't travel, you know, all this between the kids and work and the job and all this other stuff. So, you know, being able to spend more time with Lynn, I mean, and the kids as they get older,
yeah.
it's a blessing. It's the most important thing. I always say, you know, one of my supervisors, my boss, he has this phrase, and it's so true. He said, you know, at the end of it all, none of this material stuff, none of it matters. The only thing that matters is who you love, who loves you, who you support, and who supports you. That's the only thing that matters in life. Everything else is material, you know, and that's to me is the most important thing in life. Like I kind of wish I would have known that maybe 10 years ago, you know, 20 years ago. But you know what? I also say that nothing happens before it's supposed to happen, right? Everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And, you know, we pray whatever, whoever you pray to, whatever you believe in, you
Mm,
know, we get up and we pray every day, right? But God helps who helps themselves, right? Our path in life is every day you wake up, you go down a road, and every intersection you run into, it forks and it keeps forking off, right, to different directions, and you have to choose a path, right? You choose a path, and then when you choose that path, it's going to fork off again into multiple paths, right?
mm,
Because every decision you make is going to affect the next decision that you make. So we can pray all we want to, and God puts us in the right situation to be successful in whatever we pray for. It's just, do you recognize it? Do you see it when it's there in front of you? Because a lot of times it's there. You prayed for it, I believe you. He's giving it to you, but are you paying attention and taking advantage of it? You know, we get so blindsided because we got the blinders on and we're not paying attention. You know, situational awareness is a big thing for me, right? Especially as a military guy, as a police officer, like I'm always 360. I'm always paying attention to what's going on around me. If you see me walking through the mall, you don't see me with my phone like this. My phone's in my pocket and I'm looking around, you know. And I feel that's life in general. People get caught
mm.
not paying attention to what's in front of their faces, you know. And like I said, you pray, he gives it to you. You just got to pay attention and go after it. And like I said, I feel like I've been blessed in my life. I feel like the more I bless people, the more blessings I get. You know, just being able to wake up every day, like I said, see my kids be growing up and, you know, living their own lives and being, you know, successful in what they're endeavoring in. That's the most important thing to me right now. That's literally what keeps me grounded now. Just memories, making memories with my family. You know, me and Lynn, like, I can't wait to retire because once I retire, you think I got content now. It's about to be on. I'm about to travel. You know, we about to travel. We just because I don't plan on doing nothing. It's gonna be tiki bar and traveling and cooking. That's all you're getting. So be prepared. But you know, that's the most important thing to me now. It's just the time that I didn't have to spend with my family. I have now. I have the opportunity to do it now, and I'm making the best of it. So
Sorry, I was just I was laughing. I was laughing there. Oliver Unfiltered is laughing on your screen.
What's Oliver saying?
Yeah, I think Red Room says, I love that. I love that. I love that. Guys, that is now legacy. That is now a conversation in terms of legacy, and he really captured it very well. Kisha is like, wow, Winston, Winston is out hosting Goga. Very engaging speaker. One of the things I asked Winston yesterday was, Winston, how much time do we have? And he said, Goga, I'm all yours. You can go as long as you want. So, but yes, he has literally, I think, exceeded the guests. And guests normally have like 2 hours. He's already doubled the time that's supposed to be here. We need to chase him out, guys. We need to chase him out.
That's how the tiki bar goes. I usually try to keep it like within 2 hours, and literally people start showing up late in the evening, and then
I
next thing you know,
know.
it's like 4.5 hours in. But hey, as long as we're having fun, that's all that matters.
I love that. I love that. And you know, it's a great conversation, and yes, it was bound to be this engaging. And once again, guys, if you have not connected to Winston, we are multi-streaming. I'm going to give him time to fix his fireplace. It
Oh,
needs
did my
more fire.
fireplace die? Oh,
It needs more firewood.
my virtual fireplace died on me. I didn't even notice.
The fire said shut. Okay, let us hide the fireplace from with a video on the screen so that you get these people on YouTube. They pay attention too much. They're always looking at our
I
backgrounds and
know,
stuff.
but
Yeah,
see,
so let us hide the.
that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like just when you think nobody's watching.
You
Uh,
know, they even pause and zoom, and you know, they're like, "What is this? What is that thing on top of the table?"
but you know what's funny is that the intricacies, like I said, people are always watching, right? And people like the simplest thing that you're not paying attention to, somebody will notice in your video.
Yes.
You know, you're like, what? Okay, what does that have to do with food? Like somebody, like just today, somebody posted a message on one of my videos recently and was like, why is that lady's hand so big? And I'm like, what? So I'm like, okay, maybe because I zoomed in on Lynn's hand, they're asking why her hands are so big. And I'm like, what does that have to do with the food? You know? So I didn't even answer back. I'm just like, I don't know what to say. How do you answer? Do I just hit the like button and just clear it out of the chat? But it's like sometimes some things you just don't answer, you know?
I love that. I love that. And guys, thank you so much for the engagement. I think without you people also being here, you wouldn't have made it this engaging. It is those nice comments you guys are making. It is those questions you guys are asking that are really keeping the conversation going. And we are grateful as the co-hosts of the Sunday service to be able to like make sure you guys are having fun and having a great time having this conversation. This is why I love YouTube. I like fostering conversations. I think for me that was what I found as my as my thing on YouTube. That how do you make these conversations happen? And for me, I'm so grateful. And thank you so much, Winston, for really for really making this happen. Because had I not been on that collaboration you had with Simone, and I was just listening, and I was like, I like this guy. I like this guy. He has to come to the Sunday service. And it was so nice that we connected through that platform. And you see that right there, that connection right there is how we also grow as creators. And thank you so much for making this happen. Anna Boo is saying this is a very beautiful interview. Well done. Anna Boo is like, Anna Boo, I hope you're not collecting receipts for next Sunday, because Anna Boo is coming here next Sunday. So it's like, let me go and get the notes for the exam. You will not be asked the same questions in that exam.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, Goga, I appreciate it, man, because I was like, I've been watching since I started watching your channel, and I appreciate like all the stuff you do, because you're very knowledgeable, and you extend that knowledge out like consistently. I've learned a lot just from watching your channels, and you might not know it, but you're helping a lot of YouTubers out there that don't know the intricacies of YouTube. Like I said, I have learned a lot from you as well. You never stop learning. The platform is consistently, changing, and you're willing to go out there and put out the information. Granted, a lot of people could just do the research, but it's still, a lot of it is very confusing too. A lot of it is not straightforward information. but I like how you break down that information for people. The classroom, when class is open and everybody's engaged and listening to your information. So no, you definitely like, even yesterday when we were preparing, our channels to do this, I learned
Yeah.
some things I didn't know about StreamYard, because I haven't used StreamYard that much. So
Oh, wow.
I definitely appreciate it. I was like, man, when is Gogo gonna get me on his channel? So when you reached out, I was like, yes. I was like, all right, I get to be on the channel for once. But
And
no,
guys, let me tell you, Winston is very like the man is so quick. We planned out. We normally have a pre-call. Those of you have never been to the Sunday service, we usually have a pre-call with the guest a day before, just to test systems, devices, and things. So I thought, I may need to explain to Winston all these things. Guys, that call did not even take 15 minutes. We were done. We had fixed everything. We had done. It was amazing. Like, he's like, oh, Goga, so I need to do this. I've seen the link on the email. Like, the man is very efficient. He's very
I try.
efficient.
I try.
The man is very efficient. I was like, okay, wow, you're done. He's like, yeah, Goga, it's done. And I'm like, oh, we are done with the call. Bye. See you tomorrow. And he was there before. He arrived before me. I was strictly into the call 1 hour later, because I
Hmm.
got mixed up on the
Look,
time
to
zone.
to be a, to be a good follower, to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower as well. So
Thank you so much for that. I totally appreciate. Elsie Knight says this interview is very festive. I love it. You need to go and learn how to read as well with the same energy. This one is coming to give me compliments so that I don't remember that I gave her an assignment. But Elsie, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Just to get into the final, I think I have like two more just areas, and then we'll be done.
okay.
Um, if you could go back and give the younger Winston from Jamaica, think of that Winston from 16, the manager who was the 16-year-old manager. If you had to go back and give that younger Winston a word of advice, what would that be?
Hmm. Ooh,
Yeah, take your time.
think about that one. I would say, that's a tough one, Gogo. Hold on. Let me think about that. Oh, and the only reason why I say it's a tough one is because I honestly have no regrets in my life.
Oh wow,
But
powerful.
it, if I could have say something to my younger self, was to take advantage of the opportunities that you had earlier in life. Like I said, there's
Mm.
some things I know now that I wish I knew in advance. I don't know if that would have um, made a difference in where I ended up in life.
Mm.
And that's one of the reasons why I say I have no regrets, because I think the journey is different for everyone. So we can, they said hindsight is 2020, right? So you can look back and say, what if, right? But I feel like the journey is the journey, right? We are all destined to end up somewhere, and it's the choices that we make in life is how we end up where we are, right? So you can be frustrated for where you are in life right now, or you can just be happy to be alive, right? Because I have friends that have passed away that are of the same age, went to high school with me, so forth, in the military, so forth. But I would definitely say just take advantage of the opportunities that you have early in life. So, I would maybe give that to my advice to my kids now, right?
Mm.
Make use of the opportunities that you have, because you never know when one is gonna go away, right? Or something that you could have needed to make your life better, you don't have anymore, whether it be a family member, whether it be a job, whatever it is. I feel like, again, it goes back to the choices that you make in life. I've had this conversation with so many people about choices, and sometimes people say, you know, we were having the conversation on one of my tiki bar chats, and I can't remember who it was I was talking to, and they were saying, we're talking about, are you a product of your environment, right? And I always said, yes, you are a product of your environment, but which side of that environment you come out on is based on your choices that you make, right? So the physical environment, yes, it's going to limit you with doing certain things, but you have to think outside your physical, right? You have to think about the mental. You have to think about the opportunities that you're given. I'm going to share with you just one story before we end this, on why I say choices are different, right? Our choices make a difference in life. When I was in the Army, I was stationed at Fort Bragg. I was working as a security guard part-time, right? So the military don't pay a lot of money back then. So, you got to get a part-time job, right? So I was working at Fayetteville State University, which is a historically black college, right? And it's in a bad neighborhood. And so I'm out there, I'm doing security, and I see this young white guy walking across the campus. And people cut through the campus all the time, but that's the reason why we're there, to try to make sure that, there's no problem. So I see him walking across the campus, and I stop him, and I was like, hey, can I help you? And he's like, no, I go to school here. And I was like, what do you mean you go to school here? He's like, I said, where are you from? And he said, I'm from Boston. So I was like, you came from Boston to Fayetteville, North Carolina to go to school? And he said, well, because it's a historically black college and I'm a white guy, I'm a minority. So I get a free education. And I was like, high five, dude. I was like, way to use the system. I'm like, and I was like, but that's the thing. It's like, we can make excuses, but it's like, are you willing to go outside of your comfort zone and go after what you want? This kid was willing to leave Boston, never been outside of the city of Boston, and decided to use an opportunity that people complain about all the time to better himself, right? So at the end of the day, choices are out there, and you make those choices, and you have to live with the consequences of those choices, But so don't blame nobody else for the choices that you make in life, because the choices are yours. You can choose to do the right thing. You can choose to do the wrong thing. You can choose to be this in life or that in life. It's up to you. So don't limit yourself. The limit is here. This is where the limit of us is. It's up here, And once you've limited yourself up here, yeah, you've given up. So, like I said, opportunity. If you get the opportunity, take it. You never know where it's gonna lead. Never regret the decisions that you make. And if you get the opportunity to help someone else, help, lend a helping hand, because you never know. That person you help now might be the person to help you again sometime in the future. You never know. Life is strange like that, so you never know. But yeah, that's it's kind of long-winded, but one of my philosophies one of my philosophies as a military leader was, I think it was Gandhi, and somebody's going to fact check me on this, but I think it was Gandhi that said, to be a great leader is not how many followers you have, is how many leaders you create, and it's very profound, because it just goes back to saying, as a leader, you're not concerned about somebody taking your job. You're developing more leaders. It's not how many followers you have, it's how many leaders you create. That's the sign of a good leader. And I've always lived by that philosophy. I've always taken that, and that goes back to just helping that next person to be successful, that you've already had the blueprint to, and you've made that step to be successful with. Now you're helping somebody else to do the same thing. And that to me is the most profound thing in life, is being able to help somebody else to be successful.
I like that. Winston, to the retiree who feels lost because you found purpose and you finding a lot of joy even post retirement, doing things that you actually enjoy doing and you're documenting it in the process. That right there for me, as I was saying earlier, it's building a legacy. In case there is somebody who comes and rewatches this conversation, let's say not even today, maybe even a few more years, or somebody who is like get stressed over maybe leaving the military or any other space that they've been for like a lot of time, or even to the creator who is just starting out. Think of you on YouTube like 1.5 years ago, and you're just starting out on YouTube trying to figure out even how to upload a video. What is that one thing you would tell them today? Just, that retiree, this new content creator who is still struggling over a lot of things, knowing what you know now.
Be true to yourself.
Ooh.
Be true to yourself. Don't let anyone sway you from what you believe in. I think that's the most important thing, when especially on this platform, because you can easily be swayed based on people's comments. So if don't do something that you don't believe in, right? So don't put out content because you're just trying to go viral or get views. Be true to yourself, and the views and the audience will come. People can see genuineness about other people. It's a natural thing. It's like gravitation. Like people get away from negative people automatically. They might know nothing about the person. You might have just, it's kind of funny. Somebody was saying the other day, was it Oliver Unfiltered, was
Yeah.
saying a thing about positive and negative energy, right? The human body is so great that we can detect that stuff. It's called the sixth sense. You know, we all have a sixth sense for positive and negative energy, and when we get close to it, we can tell, like, you know what, I might not need to be close to this dude right or this girl right here. I need to get away from this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but it's a natural instinct that we have.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes we don't pay attention to it, right? Sometimes the information is there in front of you, and that's the problem. It's there in front of you. You're not. It's just you can't believe it's there, so you're not paying attention. Like, no, this can't be real, And that's God putting in front of you, like, here's the answer. Here's the answer. Take it, and you're like, no, I'm just gonna go the opposite direction, and you missed out. You missed out on your blessing. But He always leads you back around to it, because you pray and you say you want to get there, and He's going to lead you back to where you're trying to get to, but you got to make that decision and follow that line. So yeah, just be true to yourself. And if you're true to yourself and you're doing something that you believe in, you'll be successful. You will be successful. Don't let anybody deter you from what your goals in life are. Find a goal, and you do everything you need to do to get to that goal, and don't make structure your decisions. Where do you want to be in 5 years? We always learn to do long-term planning, short-term planning, right? So
Yeah.
where am I 5 years from now? If I'm a YouTube content creator, where do I want to be in 5 years? And where do I want to be in 10 years? Am I going to be around in 10 years from now? Am I going to get what I needed to get out of YouTube in 10 years to be, successful enough to live comfortable, or whatever it is your goal is? But have a short-term goal, and have even shorter term goals leading to that short-term goal, your mid-term goal and your long-term goal. And if you again, it's not going to go, everything's not going to go the way you plan it, but that's about adaptability, because you have to, every time you hit that rut in the road, right? If you see that rut coming again, what you going to do? You're going to go around it next time. You're not going to go through it, because you expect it this time around, right? So it's called learning, right? And we're always learning. Once you stop learning, yeah, that's it. So be true to yourself, and then just plan out what you're trying to do. Don't go into it head first. You wouldn't jump into an ocean head first, not knowing if there's sharks in there, right? So, be proficient in what you do. Be professional in what you do. And give people a good product if that's what you're planning on doing as a content creator. That's all I got to say.
All right. Elsie I'd be like, great advice there. Louis be like, you are so right, Mr. Winston's Chronicles. Thank you so much for that. And then Godfrey be like, that is it. That is it.
I like
Yeah.
Godfrey. Godfrey is a real one too. Godfrey be
Yeah.
real.
That is it. That is it. Thank you so much for that. Guys, a good story is good until another one is told. The guest has been here. This, I think, is probably the longest Sunday service guest in the history of the Sunday service. 4 hours later, he now has the title and the record. I think everybody now has to beat Winston's
I
record as
got
the
the
Sunday.
crown, Reds. I got the crown.
He got the real crown for the Sunday service, and he was. Can you imagine? He has been here since the beginning, like from the time we started at 0 seconds. He has been on the panel. He has been on the panel the entire time. So Winston, the last thing I'm going to do before we leave, so I'm going to do some rapid. These are normally questions we ask the guests, just rapid fire questions to lighten the guest up, and then we'll give you a chance to just like do a sign out or something. Which you can take like 2 minutes or thereabout, and then then we'll be able to like leave, because the good thing, I think we've been tackling questions as we go, so we don't need to like be doing the back and forth. But guys, in case you want to experience more of Winston's Chronicles, guys, he's an amazing guest. You don't even want him to leave, but I also have to be mindful of the time. It's been 4 hours, and it's a Sunday. You may need to like get a few things done. But do make sure you meet him every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern at the Tiki Bar,
Yes, sir.
where he normally has this amazing panel conversation, and you can actually join. You can actually join the panel. It's normally midnight for me, so half the time I'm normally listening while in bed. But he's an amazing host, and you'll be at the bar, and you'll meet the wife. The wife is amazing. You meet Mama Lynn that you've been talking about throughout this entire live stream. And you can ask many of these other questions. We don't want, guys, this is content. I don't want to like him to use all the content of the Sunday service. But yeah, so rapid fire questions, and then we'll give him a chance to like sign out. Unless there's any burning question on the chat, let me see that I can spot any. But we welcome compliments. Thank you so much. 2 words of wisdom from Auntie Hannah Storytime. Thank you so much, Mama.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eileen. And then Red Room be like, damn you, Win. Yeah, he has the crown. He's the longest Sunday service guest. Like, he's now the longest. You guys will have to beat his record. So, but guys, this does not mean that you come to the Sunday service and say, Goga, I'm staying longer. Goga, don't chase me. I want to beat his record. Yeah. So, okay. So, these are the rapid fire questions, guys. And then, I want you to do me a favor. Before Win does the sign off, in case you are still on my live stream and you've not connected to Winston's Chronicles, I want you to get out of my live stream right now, go to his chat using the link that is pinned there. He loves blue as a color. Go and drop those nice blue hearts. Somebody drop for me those blue hearts on the chat as an example so that I can highlight them. Go and drop those blue hearts on his chat to confirm that you give him a thumbs up and you're connected to that channel, so that you don't. Goga was the guest of the last week's Sunday service. I wanted to. Don't ask me those questions during the week. I will ignore you. In the presidential fashion. You can't be at the Sunday service and you are listening the entire time and you forgot to connect to the co-host. So jump there real quick. The link will take you directly to his live stream. Go and give your thumbs up, give your heart. Stay there. He's going to raid you back here anyway. Stay there until we end his live stream, and then he's going to raid you back here for the affirmation, and then we are going to raid somebody. To my moderator, I think David or Good Vibes, get for me the raid command. It will be Winston. It will be, I don't know. It will be Win and Goga raid. One purple heart, one blue heart. That will be the raid command we are going to use when we raid somebody at the end of the show. So these are the rapid fire questions. So don't overthink that. They're very like easy. They're just like one yes, it's a yes or no answer, or just one answer.
Okay.
Number one. So just don't overthink it. Don't process it. I know your military head will be like, why you asking me? And I'm not looking for receipts. These are just. I'm not looking for receipts.
I got you.
It's like, Goga, why are you asking me that question? Anyway, number one. Favorite Jamaican dish to cook?
Ackee and saltfish.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. I love how you just said it instantly.
Oh, you know I love
Dream,
food.
of course. Dream travel destination.
Um,
Hmm.
Anywhere in the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
My
I've
goal
seen.
is my goal this year is to travel to all the Caribbean islands. So,
Wow. Are
well,
you
in the
coming?
next between this year and the next coming year or so,
Are you
I
plan?
want to visit all the Caribbean islands.
Are you planning to come to the motherland as well,
Oh
Africa?
yes, oh yes, that's on my bucket list too. Ghana is on my actually Ghana. If I would say number one is Ghana. Ghana is actually on my bucket list of places to visit. I have to come to the motherland.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, good. Third question. Why did you not say Kenya? I was waiting for my country there. Why
I'm going
that?
to
We didn't.
Kenya too. I'm gonna come see you, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, I had to prompt you because I'm like, why is my country not being mentioned in this conversation? What was the point of this Sunday
Oh,
service if it's not coming to Kenya?
only because Jamaica has a big root in Ghana. Jamaica,
Oh,
a big
okay, makes
historical root in Ghana. But I'm coming to Kenya too. It's on my list.
okay. I'm not even going to argue. Okay, that's fine. I'm just being messy. No worries. I'm just being petty as usual. Um, a DIY project that nearly broke you.
The deck.
Ooh,
That was the hardest project I've ever done. Yes.
okay, okay,
When I
okay.
redid the entire deck, yes, that was the toughest thing I've ever done.
And guys, you can go check the deck. It's actually on his channel. You'll be able to see it there on the video. A book or a movie that changed your perspective.
Hmm. Um, that's a tough one. I'm trying to think. I can't think of.
Winston, you could just say the Tiki Bar Chronicles, and nobody will.
No, but because I watch a lot of movies. I love to watch movies. So it's like, is there one that really changed my perspective? Um, The Green Mile.
Oh, I never read this one.
Yeah, there's a
Tell
movie.
us.
It's a book and a
Oh,
movie.
ooh.
The
Tell us
Green
more.
Mile.
What was that thing that thing that stood out for you that
It's a very strange movie.
hmm,
It's kind of supernatural, but
wow,
it just kind of shows you what that no matter what, we're all people. No matter where you
okay.
come from, we can relate to each other. You know, there's a couple other movies that I've seen, but yeah, The Green Mile just it shows how people react to things in based on what they know or what they think they know, but at the same time you really didn't know, and
Okay.
it shows of how we judge people as human beings, not knowing that that person could be the same person that might help you or save your life one day. So
Wow, The Green Mile. This was a 1999 movie.
yes,
Tom Hanks
check
is in it. Tom
check it
Hanks
out
is in it.
when you get an opportunity. Check it out. It's a great movie.
I definitely will because Tom Hanks is there. So I definitely will. Okay, so and Rezum agrees that yes, it was a great movie. So The Green Mile, guys, you got a movie recommendation right there. I know. Go to music when you are working on something on any of your projects.
Oh, it's got to be dancehall reggae. Oh
I've
yeah,
seen you.
I
I have
will.
seen guys. I have some receipts. Just hold on before we explains anything there. Let me just show you something real quick. Um, don't worry, Win, I'm not going to embarrass you or anything. Go and look for a. There's a video. Are you seeing this picture on your screen? Go and look for this video on Win's channel. You will see the man dancing there. You will see the man that I have seen this receipt somewhere. He was
That was in
dancing.
Hawaii. That was in Hawaii. That was in Hawaii.
Yeah, I saw him dancing on stage in that picture. So those of you have been looking for receipts. Go and look for this video. Go
Oh,
and look for this.
I got skills on the dance floor now.
We have no
I
doubt.
got I got skills on the dance floor. You know,
So dancehall it is. Dancehall it is.
dance all music is my go-to when I'm working. And I'm cutting the grass or anything else, and I put my headphones on. Yeah, I find me a good old school. And it has to be like 90s reggae, like 90s dancehall.
Not the
Like
modern.
90s and back. I mean, I like reggae now, but the 90s was probably the best time during reggae music. 90s or anything 90s and back.
All right. Last question, Wayne, I promise. This is hard. Even if I only answer this, but let's see. This is why you start having internet problems. You disappear from the screen. Okay. What is something that your viewers may not know about you? That you, yeah, let me leave it at that. That you'd love to share.
So, I'll give you two things. I'm
Oh,
scared
what?
of I'm scared of heights.
Wait, how can you be scared of heights and you have been jumping from planes?
It was the job. It was the mission. But I don't even like sitting on this chair right now. It's too high. Like I am deathly scared of heights.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm an artist. So I can actually freehand. I'm very good at freehand drawing. That's a skill I have. My my
Wow.
my primary school teacher beat it out of me because I used to not do my homework or do my
Because
classwork. I was in class drawing all the time. So, but yeah, I can draw very well freehand. Yeah, I have
wow.
a portrait that I did for my mom. I don't know where it is, but I did it a long time ago. But my kids have the same talent. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
That's content. That's a new channel, Win.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My kids are very talented when it comes to that. So, and it actually runs in the family. My sister, my baby
Mm.
sister, and her kids have that talent. Her One of my nephews, he's really good, really good.
Wow. Wow. Perfect. I think that you nailed it. That's all. You see, they were very straightforward and just very rapid fire. Nothing receipty and stuff like that. Yes, guys, those were all the questions I had for the Sunday service. 4 hours later, anyway, I warned him. I warned him because I had a long list of talking points today because he has lived a very enriching life, and there were very many aspects to the Winston's Chronicles that needed to be unpacked. And I'm glad that it took 4 hours to unpack these chronicles because it's the Winston's Chronicles. Winston, I'm now going to give you a chance to just like wrap up the show for us. So you're just going to like do like your own solo sign off, whatever.
Mhm.
I'll give you like 3 minutes or thereabout, and then you can say bye to the people, and then we'll be able to like release you at least to go and spend the rest of the Sunday that is left.
Well, first, I appreciate you having me on, Goga. This has been a lot of fun. I think the tiki bar prepared me for the 4 hours. So, we get a little bit rowdy at the tiki bar sometimes, but we have a good time, But I really do appreciate you having me here for the Sunday service. I've been looking forward to it all week. Um,
Yay.
you know, you have a great platform. You got a great content. I mean, your followers are great. I am usually on your channel watching and blessing you up. So keep doing what you're doing, man. I appreciate you. You are a gem in the rough. You're definitely getting people to where they need to, providing information that people really and truly need. So thank you for that, and thank you for having me. Um, all I can say is, hey, look, I tell you, every day I wake up, I say, give thanks to another great rise. All right. And that's all I can say is every day you wake up is a blessing, you know? So give thanks. Give thanks for what you have. Give thanks for life. Make the best of what you have. You know, you're never too old to achieve your goals. So keep striving, you know, keep striving, keep moving. You know, it's like the ocean. It never stop moving, right? Learning's the same way. You never stop learning if you're willing to learn, you know? So, you know, if you have the opportunity to, God bless you, bless somebody else. All right. Go out there and help somebody. We're not doing this for the views and the likes and all those things. It's the joy in your heart to see somebody that really needs something and they get it. You know, that is to me the best blessing in the world. The greatest gift is giving without receiving or expecting something back. All right. And that's one of my philosophies on life is when you give without expecting something back, you get it tenfold. All right, because you're not expecting it back. All right. Give from the goodness and the kindness of your heart. All right. And trust me, I will tell you this. I have proven it that if you do things for the right reason, God will bless you 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. All right. But if you have to do it out of the goodness of your heart, that's all that matters. I remember what I said. All right. The only thing that matters at the end of the day, none of this material stuff matters. The only thing that matters is who you love, who loves you, who you support, and who supports you. All right. So with that, thank you guys for checking in. It was a great time. It was a wonderful time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be checking in on the Tiki Bar sometime next weekend. Saturday, I don't know, Saturday 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. BYOB, bring your own baby or whatever the B means to you. All right. But thank you guys. Goga, thank you again for having me on.
The loneliest parts of your journey are often the most important. No one really talks about this. We celebrate the breakthroughs and we share our wins on social media. But we rarely talk about what happens in between. When you've outgrown the old environment, but haven't yet found your new one. You see, when you're evolving, you often outgrow environments, habits, and even relationships that once made perfect sense. This transition feels strange because it is. You are living between two worlds, the one you've outgrown and the one you haven't yet built. Psychologists call this the liminal space, the transition zone between what was and what will be. Growth can therefore feel like loneliness before it feels like progress. And I want you to focus on this in the month of August. The transition between what was and what will be, growth can therefore feel like loneliness before it feels like progress. Guys, I have to love and leave you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your gift of community. May you have an amazing week ahead. May you have an amazing month of growth ahead. I will see you on Wednesday at the Academy. Take care of yourself.